to him. You could be a Bradley's baddie too. You could be a Bradley's baddie too. So join Jovan and get your critical cap on. 'Cause there's a Bradley's baddie inside of me and you.
Good morning, everybody.
Thank you, Boo.
Good morning. How are we doing today? Wow. We have a lot to talk about. First and foremost, I'm not going to police the way anybody talks about what happened. I'm not going to police people who are upset. Some people. I'm not going to police some people that were upset. I'm not going to police people that are not upset. I will say in chat, we do not call for political violence. Any calls of political violence will get you removed from the chat. Doing private, this is not a private space. Okay? So just keep that in mind as we move forward today. Secondly, we're not going to open the call lines for a little bit because we do need to talk about this sort of stuff first. I don't even know how you start with something like this. I want to say my thought the past night or two has mostly been with, oh my God, what happened here? Hold on, my audio thing start messing up. Hold on, give me a second. I might cut out in a second. There we go. Okay. As I was saying, my thoughts are vast. I have a few kickers running around in my head about things, and some things that I don't know that I want to say publicly. First and foremost, the heaviness I feel is for his children.
Thank you, Boo.
I'm being told his children were there at the event, which is a level of trauma no child should have to go through. Doesn't really matter what your parents do. Okay? Doesn't matter what your parents do. Doesn't matter who they are. There is a level of trauma that his kids have now gone through that, like, almost none of us can imagine what that trauma is like. Just full front on that. And whether they were there physically or not, now living forever is video of their father's passing. A gruesome video, by the way. If you are sensitive, please don't look that shit up. I wonder how desensitized I am because I watched it and was just like, okay, I've seen worse. But like I'm desensitized as fuck to violence, I guess. So that's where I want to start with here. Is no child deserves that level of trauma whatsoever. None. Doesn't matter. However, multiple things can be true at once. It can be true that I don't think Charlie Kirk necessarily deserved death. It can also be true that I'm not sad that he died. Multiple things can be true. It can be true that I believe a person like Charlie Kirk should have faced some level of justice for the hand that he had in propping up and in propelling fascism. It can also be true that I'm not going to police somebody who's happy that he's not here. What do you want me to say? Something that I see people saying a lot, and maybe I'm the fucked up one. Maybe I'm the fucked up one, right? But when somebody goes, no person deserves to die, I'm just like, what? Not saying Kirk did. I'm not making a claim there. I'm just saying that's not true. You know? That's not true. There are some people that the world is better when they're not here. Right? I did, out of respect, at least, I took him off the thumbnail. I mean, it would be kind of fucked up to keep using that same thumbnail. However, I do want to talk about the concept of political violence, because I think that I've not seen a lot of great takes on this so far. So I have some things I want to say about it. First and foremost, political violence is not new. There are people going around and going, look at the rise of political violence in the US. The political violence is not on the rise. It's not on the rise. It's been here. The problem is that the political violence is now aimed at a different group of people. So that group of people is now decrying that political violence is shooting up. It's not. One of the things that I need people to understand is political violence isn't just when somebody gets shot or when somebody gets beat up or when somebody gets attacked. Political violence is so much more than that.
Thank you, Boo.
The nuance here is lost, in my opinion, on a lot of people. Point number one, and I don't know how many points I have, so I'm gonna keep track. Point number one, of all the things that can be said here, point number one, Charlie Kirk espoused neo-Nazi, white supremacist, anti-worker, Christian nationalist views on a public level that I don't necessarily think we've seen before. This is a true statement. Charlie Kirk espoused the myth of the 1350 myth time and time again. He decried Black women and single mothers time and time again. He supported the ongoing genocide of the Palestinian people time and time again. All of these things are true. All of these things are true statements. Now, do I believe Charlie Kirk deserved what happened to him? No. I'm a big proponent and have been a big proponent and will continue to be a big proponent of transformative and restorative justice. I don't espouse transformative and restorative justice for just some people. Okay? When I say transformative and restorative justice, that's for everybody. Charlie Kirk would have fallen under that umbrella. That he should have been able to be rehabilitated and hopefully, talked out of his monstrous views. That can never happen now. So that's point one. Point two, and I'll just repeat it. No child
Thank you, Boo.
deserves what happened to them. None. No child deserves to see their father gunned down in front of them. None. That's point number two. Point number three, and this is where I'm going to start getting kind of
Thank you, Boo.
angry. because political violence, again, is not just when someone is harmed via a shooting, for example. Political violence is the school to prison pipeline. Political violence is removing care for trans people. Political violence is weaponizing ICE against undocumented migrants. Political violence is food deserts. Political violence is Donald Trump tweeting about how he wants to go after everyone on the left. Political violence is the rounding up of homeless people on the streets. Political violence is weaponizing school shootings. Political violence is the NRA lobbying consistently. All of these things are political violence. So this idea, and I'm going to reject this idea wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly, I'm going to reject this idea. When I see people saying that America is falling deeper and deeper into political violence, it's bullshit. It's always been here. It's always been here, quite literally. So political violence is deeper than what a lot of people think it is. And I'm not going to be the person up here going, oh, it's now more political. No, what's happening is the political violence is now being targeted at groups that, whether you believe it should be or not, it's being targeted at a different type of group, and that group is getting worried. Now, I don't think political violence should ever be our first resort, ever. I'm not going to say that everything in the world has to be done peacefully, because I have eyes and I've seen how revolutions work and I've seen the violence being used against groups. I am going to say that that's my point 3. Point 4. I've seen so many liberals who have put way more effort into decrying what happened yesterday than they have even given a thought towards the ongoing genocide in Palestine. So when some people go, violence is never, this is terrible, we need to come together as a people, blah, blah, blah. And I know they've said 0 things. I know they've said 0 things about Palestine. They haven't given a shit about Sudan. They don't give a fuck about the Congo. They never cared about the constant amount of people killed in Yemen. They haven't given a shit about any of that. I take issue with this. That's what I take issue with. It's okay if you are not happy that Kirk is dead, right? I'm not going to sit here and claim that I'm quote unquote happy. I'm not sad. I'm not going to sit here and cry. I didn't know the guy personally. I didn't care for him. I'm not going to sit here and be like, okay. However, I think it's really dumb to act like this is the worst thing politically to happen. And it's just so interesting to me to see people go, no child ever deserves this to happen. And then all the children in Palestine, they've not given a shit about. Some even outwardly arguing against it. The amount of people that I've seen who've told me to my face, Israel isn't starving children. Okay. That's my point number 4. So I take a little bit of issue with this. That's just whatever you want to feel about that. I take some issue. Point number 5. I believe that what we are going to see is a giant shift We're going to see a giant shift. Donald Trump has been waiting, really, for an excuse that would make weaponizing. He's already been doing this. We've seen it in the building of the National Guard, in the ignoring of states' rights to say whether they want the National Guard in. We've seen it with the way he's been like militarizing ICE and all this. He's been waiting for an excuse, and I'm a little bit worried this is going to be his excuse. To now basically go full tilt on the left. He's already said on Twitter, he's going to come after everybody as hard as he can. So I think we will see that. I mean, this isn't new. This is sort of what happens when you look at countries that are faced with issues like this. Typically, when there is some level of violence towards someone in the group, they will use that, and they will use that wholeheartedly. So I do wonder if that is going to happen. We'll find out. You already see people, like I said, you've seen, what did he say specifically? Let me pull up the quote. Donald Trump specifically said on Twitter, "My administration will find each and every one of those that contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those that go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else that brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, PA last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attack on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others. Radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives." Now, I do think it's fucking insane. Absolutely insane what he considers acts of political violence. You notice he didn't mention the people that broke into Nancy Pelosi's house and beat her husband with a hammer. He didn't mention the 2 Democratic lawmakers that were killed. He doesn't mention any of the political violence that happens from the right. And why do you think that is? Because he needs a scapegoat for his violence. So if they can paint the picture that all of the violence comes from the left, that gives him the go-ahead. And this will do this. I've already seen. There are a bunch of people who are in the middle, I would say, who are like, we're never going left now. It's right all the way. And that's what part of that is what's going to happen. Now, again, I think the fake moral outrage is so stupid. Like, shut up about the fake moral outrage part of it. I don't care about that. Point number 6. There was quite literally a school shooting the same day. And that has been grossly overshadowed. I won't try to compare these 2 events because I don't think they're comparable. What I will say is I think that there is a glaring issue in this country because things like this do not happen as often anywhere else. You can say all you want. Now, we do know that this instance wasn't, from the facts that have been laid out so far about what happened with Kirk, I don't think a gun ban could have solved this issue. We know that the shot was taken from 200 meters away. We know that the shot was most likely taken by a professional because of the accuracy of the shot, because of the distance, because of all that. I don't necessarily know that gun control is something that would have stopped this. So we don't know who took the shot. As of right now, from what I have seen. Oh, did I say 200 meters? 200 yards. Thank you. Sorry. sorry. 200 yards. That's 2 football fields. As of right now, no one is in custody. As of right now, it appears like the FBI and the local police are scrambling to find. They have no leads as of right now, from what I've been keeping up on. They have no leads on anything.
Thank you, boo.
Wait, is 200 meters and 200 yards the same thing? That don't sound right. But I don't know math.
Thank you, boo.
They're close enough. Okay. Whatever. This is America use yards. It's crazy. I think you guys know this. I'm a staunch leftist. I believe that the workers should be able to arm themselves. I think there's a clear line in the sand. I think there is a clear line in the sand, and we need to look at. This is why I don't believe in gun bans, but I do believe in common sense gun control and gun reform. Those are things I do believe in. Point number 7. This was a man who said that you have to have gun deaths in order to keep the Second Amendment. That it's just a reality. This is a man who told people that empathy was bad and that you shouldn't have empathy. This was somebody who, for all it's worth, whether you are upset, whether you are happy, whatever you feel about his death, which again, I'm not going to police anyone for how they feel about Charlie Kirk's death. Okay? Whatever the case may be, I think if you make a platform for yourself and you say specifically that it's a reality that we are going to have gun deaths, and those gun deaths are just something we have to live with in order to maintain the Second Amendment, people are going to use that if you get gunned down. Full stop. Whether it's right of them or wrong of them, I'm not making the claim one way or another. Something I need people to understand is right now I'm not making a claim on right or wrong in this situation. I'm just looking to explain some of what's happened. I'm not looking for, is this the right thing to do? Is this the wrong thing to do? I'm looking for explanations on the way people feel, explanations on the reactions, things like that. Those are what I'm looking at. Right or wrong doesn't do anything for me in this situation. Right or wrong, who cares? I see a big group of people going, well, Charlie Kirk was gunned down because he just shared his opinions. That's not what Charlie Kirk was doing. Charlie Kirk was a fundamental key factor in American politics. He was a linchpin in helping getting Trump elected. He was working with the Trump administration. He was actualizing youth into espousing ideas, most of which are just like patently false. Again, I said at the beginning, he consistently would preach the 1350 myth, which anybody who's done any bit of research into academia knows is not true. He consistently decried. Well, it's a whole list of stuff that we can get into. I don't feel the need to pour through the man's life now, right? I think it's okay to have these ideas. Let me say this. I think it's okay that somebody has these bigoted, false, racist ideas, whatever. But there's a difference between somebody having these and somebody having political power. And Charlie Kirk had political power. Charlie Kirk had influence. And if you are going to say, hey, he died because of his beliefs. No, he died because of his power and influence. Right? Well, we think, I mean, fuck, the shooter could have taken him out because he like cheated on his wife or some shit. We don't actually know what the shooter's reasons were yet. So this is making predication. Again, I am in favor of restorative and transformative justice. That goes for Charlie Kirk as well. But I'm not going to police you if you're upset about it. I'm not going to do anything like that. There are like 3 people, 2 really. One of them I will give a pass. But there's like 2 people that I've seen who I would actually contend with the way they reacted to this, and only 2 people. And I'm not going to tell you who those 2 people are. If you think you know who they are, you probably don't. But there would have been 3, but one of them I actually would be like, no, it makes sense, your reaction. Again, how do I phrase this? I don't think that Charlie Kirk should have died. I want to be very clear about that. I don't think the man should have died. Now, I wanted him to stop talking as much as everybody else. I don't think the man should have died.
Thank you, Boo.
I definitely, and I'm going to say it again, and I will say it time and time and time and time and time and time and time again, that I am truly heartbroken about what his kids went through. Truly. I can't imagine that type of trauma. However, a lot of people can. Okay? A lot of young black children know the trauma of watching a loved one be taken out in front of them. Countless Palestinian children know the trauma of loved ones taken out in front of them. Children of parents who have substance abuse or disorders know the trauma of watching parents taken out in front of them. It is heartbreaking, and they should not have to go through this. Whether you believe they're going to be better off now or not, I don't care, right? Whether you think that they're better off without him as a father, whatever you think, I don't care about any of that. Because the sheer fact of the matter is that this is a level of trauma that is fucking hard as shit to even remotely get past, especially at that age. Like, do you know how hard that trauma is to come back from? And his kids don't have any political beliefs. I do want to address, I think it's so funny that I'm sitting here saying, this is so heartbreaking. This is so sad. And there are people in the comments on YouTube like, this channel's pure evil. You guys are just angry and you're lashing out. You're doing what children do when they experience something hard for them. You're lashing out. And I get it. But I've been very, very diplomatic about this whole thing. Damn. Some of y'all's comments are crazy. It's a fucked way to go. Whatever way you want to slice it, it's a fucked up way to go. And you have to remember, this trauma for his kids isn't a trauma that they're just going to grow up and it's going to get to... Their dad was one of the largest figures in public politics. I would argue Charlie Kirk, in terms of right-leaning politics, was Donald Trump's second. If we're looking at the influence of right-leaning political figures, Trump is number one, and I would make the very, very solid argument that Kirk was number two. So it's not just that his kids lost their father and now are going to have to relive that moment for the rest of their lives. It's online. It's all online. They're going to have to read comments that people posted about their dad, which I'm not saying you can't make those comments. All I'm saying is that these children are going to be traumatized through this. That's it. And if you don't care about that, that's fine. Like, I'm not going to police you. If you don't care about that, that is totally fine. I care about when children are harmed, whether those children are children from Palestinian countries, whether those children are children from Israeli countries, whether those children are children from countries like Yemen, like Jordan, like the Sudan, like the Congo, like Russia, like Ukraine, like the United States. If there's one thing I think we can all and should all agree on, it's that children getting traumatized is bad. I would hope that's something we can all agree on. If it's not something we can all agree on, I don't necessarily know what you're doing here. All of that said, when you make a living out of demonizing groups of people, out of shifting away from a humanist ideology, when you make a living off of hate and preaching hate, when you make a living off of doing things like that, and your living is being as public as possible, and you specifically try to, and I'm going to use very careful words here, but I'm going to be very deliberate in my words here. When you weaponize your speech to engage in what I believe and what furthermore scholars would agree, to support fascism or fascist ideals or fascistic ideology, your life is going to be at public risk at all times. And I am not going to act like, again, my big point here is that political violence is not new. Political violence has not gotten worse. Political violence is just finally happening to a group that has not really seen it happen to them before. Political violence wasn't new when y'all killed Fred Hampton, right? What was political violence new then? When the founding members, when the lead members of the fucking Black Panthers were gunned down because they were providing school lunches to children, was that political violence? Was it political violence when Black neighborhoods were burned to the ground, when all they were trying to do was move? Was that political violence? Is it political violence every day when the police are weaponized against Black communities? Is that political violence? The problem is so many people are not going to believe this. They're not going to agree that any of that is political violence. And those are the people that I can't really have the conversation with, because your lack of acknowledgement of how political violence is used and weaponized is frankly concerning. I'm concerned about it. You should be too. So no, the United States isn't moving to a larger symptom of political violence. That's not what's happening. So this isn't saying that what happened to Kirk was right. This isn't saying that what happened to Kirk was necessary. This isn't saying that what happened to Kirk should have occurred at all. But this is looking at the response and analyzing that response. Now, I am a public-facing figure. I use my real name online. I've been doxxed. I've had my address doxxed and leaked. I have engaged in public conversations with people. I'm not afraid for my life, whether you think I should be or not. I have a bit more faith in people, hopefully, that they recognize that, like, you know, this is the case. What I advocate for on my platform will continue to be the things that I advocate for on my platform. And what I advocate for is worker rights. I advocate for Black liberation. I advocate for queer liberation. I advocate for femme liberation. I am going to consistently advocate for resources. At the end of the day, my beliefs are what my beliefs are, and my beliefs will never be compromised and are always going to be the same. I believe every person on this planet deserves food, deserves water, deserves shelter, deserves healthcare. Every single person. That's what I believe. So you can look at my list of topics and go, well, this guy's a piece of shit because he believes all of these. Fine. But at the end of the day, can you look yourself in the mirror and say that you believe all humans deserve food? Can you look yourself in the mirror and say you believe all humans deserve safe and clean drinking water? Can you look yourself in the mirror and say all humans deserve shelter? They deserve a place to sleep that's safe from the elements. Can you look yourself in the mirror and say all humans deserve health care? I can. And whether you agree with that or not, that's what I believe. Everything on my board boils down to, I believe all people deserve these things. Full stop. Now, again, Charlie Kirk, he espoused white supremacist talking points. He espoused neo-Nazi talking points. He espoused Christian nationalist talking points. And he was wrong in believing these things. And he was wrong in half the arguments he would use. I mean, we've sat here and live fact-checked him mid-debates and found that he was wrong. But at the end of the day, do I believe he deserved what he got? Probably not. Probably going to say I don't agree that he deserved that. He was a person. So I believe Charlie Kirk deserved food, deserved water. I'm writing on my whiteboard, but I don't have it up, so you guys can't see it. Deserved shelter, deserved healthcare. And above all else, deserved rehabilitation and transformative justice. Those are my beliefs. Now, America has a gun problem. It has a gun problem. Okay? Full stop. There were 2 massive shootings in one day. 2. And that's a light day for the United States. And that's not counting any of the shootings that might have happened in inner cities or in rural areas. That we're not counting any of those.
Thank you, Boo.
Those children at that school did not deserve to be taken out. No child does. Children in preschools are running active shooter drills. Like, what the fuck life are we in? Like, dude, what life are we in that 3-year-olds have to do active shooter drills? And listen, I hear what you guys are saying, chat. I hear what you're saying, and I understand. I understand. Charlie Kirk was advocating that some of you lose your rights. Full stop. This is what was being advocated for by him. So I am not telling you to care that the man is gone. You don't have to give 2 shits. I don't give 2 shits. Okay? But the fact of the matter is, not watching, him being gunned down like this is going to have massive repercussions. Massive. They're massive. They're going to be massive. And I'm literally watching the YouTube chat do what I've watched a bunch of people do. Everyone's going, well, these killings were done by leftists, and it was all leftists. And look at this. First of all, we don't know who fucking killed Charlie Kirk. We've no fucking idea. If you guys prefer to be reactionary, be reactionary. I don't do reactionary shit. Save for when I'm like reacting to shit on the internet, which is, I guess, what I'm doing now. Maybe I only do reactionary shit. But I don't do reactionary as in my first thought is A happened, so B must have happened, so C must have happened, so D must have happened. No, I'm going to think about it a little bit. This is why I didn't really release like a full statement on what happened yesterday. I needed to mull over how I felt about everything. Now, granted, some people are mad at me because in an Instagram video I posted, I was laughing, but like, it wasn't laughing like, oh my God, the motherfucker's dead. It was more like, holy shit, that video was crazy. Because I watched the video. And if you've heard everything I've said today and you're like, listen, I don't want to follow Jovan anymore, I understand. Wish you well. I get it. I will say I pray to God the shooter is not trans. Holy shit. If the shooter's trans and you are trans and you have the ability to get out of the United States, go. Because like the amount of hellfire that's going to rain down on trans people if that ends up happening is going to be crazy. I think shooter can be literally any other demographic. Because the problem is going to be, that no other facts about the shooter are going to matter. I mean, look at the case. Look at fucking, was it last week? Literally 2 weeks ago. It didn't matter that the shooter had written slurs on their gun. It didn't matter that the shooter themselves said that they weren't actually trans and that they had brainwashed themselves into believing that shit. It didn't matter that they did any of this. All that mattered was this shooter doesn't go by he, him. Must be an issue with all trans people. Nuance is lacking in American politics. It's gone. Nuance went away with fucking Ronald Reagan. Nuance has vanished. Nuance is fucking gone, bro.
Thank you, Boo.
Also crazy that this happened like 20 minutes after I got offline yesterday. Like, had I taken one more phone call, but yeah, I think there needs to be nuance in all of these conversations. My nuance in this conversation is Charlie Kirk didn't deserve to die. However, I recognize the points that led to somebody doing this. Right? Like, let me just be so for real. Let me be so for real. If somebody one day takes me out, right? If I'm out in public doing a debate and somebody takes me out, I'm going to be upset because I'm like, I don't think I deserve to die. But I'm not going to be like, I don't understand it. Like, people really get mad when you challenge their beliefs. People get angry, and some people have fucking impulse control issues. No, you'll be dead. True. I won't be upset because I'll be dead. But you know what I mean, right? It's not like it's not like I'm gonna sit here and be like, well, I wonder why they killed Jovan. No, it's, you know. But at the same time, again, I don't mourn Charlie Kirk, bro. I don't mourn that man. Do I think he should have died? No. I don't mourn him. I'm not upset that Charlie Kirk is dead. It's not going, it affects my day because I'm a political content creator, so I have to like talk about it and look at it and stuff like that. But it doesn't affect me going outside and going to the store, and doesn't do all that. How did I know this would be the topic of conversation? Because it's like the second biggest news that happened yesterday. Well, biggest in terms of my subjective view on what's more important, but didn't he condemn empathy? So what he specifically said, let me pull it up.
Thank you, Boo.
Because I want to be, I don't want to misquote the dead.
And so there's some really good polling out of Alaska that shows that Kelly Shabaka is gaining on Lisa Murkowski and is in a very, very good position despite the unconstitutional, immoral, incredibly complicated rank choice voting system. Never should have been approved. It's silly. It's backwards. It's rigged. It's awful. So the new communication strategy for Democrats, now that their polling advantage is collapsing in every single state, it's collapsing in Ohio, it's collapsing even in Arizona. It is now a race where Blake Masters is in striking distance. Kerry Lake is doing very, very well. The new communication strategy is not to do what Bill Clinton used to do, where he would say, I feel your pain. Instead, it is to say, you're actually not in pain. So let's just, a little, very short clip. Bill Clinton in the 1990s, it was all about empathy and sympathy. I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage, but it is very effective when it comes to politics. Sympathy I prefer more than empathy. That's a separate topic for a different time. Here's cut 65.
What? So, whatever you believe. Oh, it's 6. What the hell? Okay, it's number 6. Okay. 6. There it goes.
Thank you, Boo.
There's also what he said about gun violence. I mean, like, what did he say specifically? Some gun deaths are worth it? Is that how he phrased it? Let me see. Quote, I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. So it becomes a thing. It becomes a thing when you say, when people get upset that people are quoting him now, right? I don't understand this mantra, right? Like, if the man himself says, somebody said, look at he doesn't seem upset. No, I'm not upset. Again, do I think Charlie Kirk should have died? No. Am I upset that he died? No. Would you want me to fake it? Am I happy he's dead? No. Am I happy he's not going to espouse Nazi bullshit anymore? Yes. Would I have preferred that lack of espousing comes from a different place? I would have preferred Charlie Kirk changed and grew as a person, and that caused him to stop espousing neo-Nazi rhetoric rather than the way that it played out. Am I happy he's dead? No. Do I care? No. Am I going to be mad at somebody that is happy? No. Someone said, Javon, you don't actually care about trans people. Sure, dog. Whatever you want to believe. Whatever helps you sleep at night, bro. I'm totally okay with any random person on the internet thinking whatever they need to about me to like make their lives a little easier. If it helps you get up in the morning and get to your job and work and love your family, think about whatever you want about me. I don't give a fuck. When I turn my computer off, you all cease to exist for me anyway. I got object permanence.
Thank you, Boo.
Oh, I'm pretty famous about not taking the high road. Like, right? Like, I don't really care about taking the high road of stuff. Now, let me say this. I think there are some people in the world that I would be pretty happy about if they kicked the bucket. Okay? When the time, and I'm going to phrase this so specifically, and if you take this out of context, eat ass. If the big Cheeto in charge passes from natural causes, I might order me a pie, and I don't even like pies. From natural causes, let me be so upfront about this. I might order a pie. I think if Bibi Netanyahu gets dropped from a rooftop onto some spiky building fixture, I might have to have me 2 pies. 2 pies. Okay? I might have to have me 2 sweet potato pies. The reason I say drop from a rooftop is because I recently rewatched Superman. And it's very clear that the one dude is a Netanyahu stand-in. That's why I said drop from a roof. I don't think Kirk was one of those people that I'm happy that he passed. I'm not sad. I have no relevant emotions tipping from the scale of happiness to sadness when it comes to Kirk's passing. I don't fall on the scale, okay? I fall on like the indifference. I cared about the trauma his children are going to experience. I care about the trauma that everybody there experienced, right? I absolutely care about that. But if you're going to ask me, Jovan, are you upset Kirk is passed? My answer is going to be, I don't care. I don't care.
Thank you, Boo. Thank you, Boo.
So anyway, that was, I don't know that I have anything else to say about I think that's everything that I have about this. I don't believe this was an inside job. I don't believe this was an inside hit. I don't believe in any conspiracies about this right now. Something could change if more information comes to light, right? I don't believe he was a martyr taken out by the right in order to make it so that they could they could have done that so much simpler. I don't believe any of that. And I'm never going to be the first to hop on and just start espousing conspiracy theories. That's not who I am. That's not how I operate. That will never be how I operate. But a few things can be true at once. Do I think he deserved to go out that way? No. Am I sad that he went out? No. Do I think he was a Nazi? Yes. Do I think neo-Nazis deserve peace? No. Do I think that justice in all forms needs to be transformative and reformative, and that any justice that is just retributive is fundamentally wrong to my, or fundamentally goes against my worldview? Yes. All of these things can be true at once. So I apologize if people are upset I have nuance on shit, but like, whatever. say you don't hop on conspiracies and then say there's such a thing as cold soup is crazy. Cold soup. The only conspiracy I believe in is birds. Birds don't exist. And with that, release the Epstein files. This shit ain't gonna distract me from the lack of release of the Epstein files. Shit. We're going to get into it now. We're going to get into it now. We're going to get back into debates. If you want to talk about what happened, you can. If you want to call in and talk about that, I am not going to tell you not to. But we're going to get into our usual programming here. Fascism don't stop, so neither do I. If the files are released by birds, then I'll believe in birds. But I'm just saying, y'all have never actually seen a bird up close. They're weird. The lines are open. There are a bunch of you here. If this is your first time, welcome in. We're gonna get into like debates. See what happens.
Hey, what's up, Jovan?
What's up? You here to debate?
No, I just wanted to say that I love your channel. Sorry, I was moving something. And that I hope today is not as rough as I think it's going to be because of what just happened. I can already hear my own, circle kind of like going on about how he was a great guy and just kind of overlooking some of the things he said. So, just love what you do. I appreciate all the knowledge you put out there, and I really hope today's not as bad as it is, or as I think it might be.
We're gonna find out.
Oh,
We're
no,
definitely gonna find out.
And I kind of am looking forward to some of them. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, they're gonna make for some great clips, I know, but
yeah, I don't know. I if people call in to debate what happened and talk about it, I doubt I'm gonna make clips off of it. Just because that feels kind of scummy.
No, yeah.
I'm, for instance, not gonna go on TikTok live to talk about it and leave my live gifts turned on. I'm just not gonna do that. I just think that that's kind of weird, personally. And I will say, anybody that has sent a super chat, I do thank you for that. But like, you didn't need to during that bit. I just don't necessarily think I need to make money off of Kirk's passing, and that. Whether I like the man or not, I don't.
Yeah,
that
that's
just
sort
feels
of keeping to their level,
Yeah,
definitely.
Just don't feel great.
Yeah, I hope you have a great day. Fuck fascists, and you'll hope everything gets better soon.
All right, you have a good day too.
Thank you, man. Bye.
Should I wait to hit the record button until someone tells me they're here to debate? That would save me so much. But then you wouldn't have, are you here to debate at the start of every clip? So I take it back. Hello, are you here to debate?
Oh, hey. How you doing, Jovan?
I'm
so I'm not here to debate. I got something to kind of build on what we were talking about earlier with Kirk's passing.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Just so everybody knows, if I'm okay with people calling in just to talk about stuff today, I think it's okay if people need to vent a little bit, and I'm okay being that live today. But if you do want to call into debate, the lines are closed. They will open after each call. What's your name, age, and pronouns, friend?
Yeah, Ryan, age 31, he, him.
All right. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah. So. Real quick, I found your clips on TikTok like a couple weeks ago, and just like have really enjoyed delving into your content, and it's been helping me kind of articulate some views that I have had that have aligned with what you've been saying. I've just wanted to just say real quick, just really appreciate all the content you've been posting. So my question regarding with Kirk's passing, do you think that there is going to be kind of a vacuum of those talking points? Do you think, like, with him, like, cause you had mentioned, like, on, like, political influence, you got Trump with number one, you've got him with number two. With him not having that mouthpiece anymore, do you think we're going to see less of those viewpoints? Is there going to be like a influx of people taking up those points and kind of continuing his megaphone? Where do you think?
No. I think somebody else is gonna take his viewership. I don't know. I disagree with people. I think he was a very charismatic person when it came to speaking in public and whatnot and getting people on his side. I think he was a terrible debater, but whatever. I think for a little while you're gonna see that vacuum, but someone's gonna come in and take it up. I don't think it'll be Fuentes. Fuentes has been gaining traction among younger people, but I don't think he's going to get where Kirk was because colleges are not going to let him on campus. Could be Walsh, but I think Walsh is way less charismatic than I think Kirk can speak to a crowd without a script. I don't think Walsh could. I don't think Walsh can. I think he's terrible at that. So I don't know who it's going to be, but somebody is going to take up, what he was doing. It will be interesting to see what Turning Point does. But yeah, I think we will probably see like a little less, but it will ramp back up again as soon as somebody. So it won't be Crowder. Crowder's too embarrassing. But it will be. So I don't know who it's going to be, but it will be somebody.
Yeah. Do you? And this is, I don't know if this is really in the scope of what you're going on. Do you have any recommendations for what to do in our own communities to kind of keep, I don't want to say to keep those, keep those voices down, not what I meant to say. But just what do you have for recommendations
it's
for
gonna
advocating?
fucking be Tim Pool, isn't it? Holy shit. Somebody said Pool, and it's going to end up being Tim Pool, isn't it? Fuck.
Oh, shit.
But sorry, go ahead. Finish your question.
No problem. I felt a bit of a fire with listening to your talking points, feeling like I'm articulating myself better, and I just want to know what you recommend to do in our communities to have our voices heard and just I hope I articulated that.
No.
correctly.
I understand the question. Organization is really important. The problem that I find in a lot of leftist spaces, and I found this even in larger leftist spaces. So I went to socialism, the socialism conference this year, and even there, I felt like there was a lot of dissent among different leftist voices, prominent ones even. I think getting on the same page is super important for left-leaning people. I think we need to kind of come together on a bridge in that way. Locally, I think what's really important is creating mutual aid networks. That's going to be really important moving forward, especially when we see healthcare start to be lost as groceries get more expensive. One of the things that I think would be really helpful, if you have the ability to do this, get together with your local left-leaning people, even liberal people if you want to. I think food aid is going to be very important going forward as the prices of food continues to rise. So I do think community gardens, food pantries, I think these things are what we have to really focus on right now. I'm trying to do my first one. I think is going to be September 20th. I'm going to be doing monthly donathons. And I think the first one we're doing is September 20th in partnership with The Line and one of their organizations that they're supporting. But like mutual aid is really important right now. People are really struggling. So I think if we want to say the first thing that I think leftists should be doing right now, I think is getting together in your local communities, doing community gardens, doing food pantries, doing those things. I think right now is if you have a local Food Not Bombs chapter near you, reach out to see how you can help, things like that. I think that is like really important at this moment right now. I don't know if that answered your question,
Awesome.
But that's mine.
Yeah, absolutely
That's
it
my
does.
take.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for calling in, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the content, and I'll keep listening and enjoying it. Take it easy, man.
You too. Yeah, I'm going to be doing monthly game show fundraisers. So the first one is going to be with The Line. I think it's on the 20th. I have to confirm with Jimmy. Jimmy will be there. Arden will be there. And there'll be a lot of people there. We're going to be doing like a Family Feud thing to raise money. Hello, are you here to debate?
Yeah, well, kind of.
Okay, what's your name, age, and pronouns, please?
Claire, 31, she, her.
Okay, Claire, what topic did you want to talk about today?
Well, it's still related to Charlie Kirk. I have
Okay.
a question because I mostly agree with your views on restorative justice. Like, I don't agree with the death penalty. I don't like mob violence. I don't think, killing someone either through the state or through a mob as a reaction to something they did is productive to our society. But, I think about whether or not where do we draw the line of when we're reacting to violence and a potential, genocide or Holocaust with, let's say, the rounding up of undocumented immigrants.
Mm-hmm. When you say draw the line, what do you mean? Like, where do we draw the line, and like how we continue to let these things happen and stuff like that?
Well, maybe it's more of when does it stop being, justice and start being like self-defense? Like, how do we draw the line between that? Just like philosophically, this isn't like a call to action or anything. I'm just curious at when it stops being, retributive justice and starts being preventative self-defense.
Well, I mean, I think there is a line here, like, obviously, and I know that you're not saying this, but obviously what happened to Kirk wasn't like self-defense. Like, that we all know there wasn't self-defense, that wasn't any level of protection, right? But I think so let's take CCOT, right? We have CCOT. We know CCOT exists. We know if you get deported, there's a chance that you're going to CCOT. So if I have somebody who is worried about them going to CCOT, which is a literal concentration camp, and they go and they defend themselves against ICE coming after them, I think it's justified, right? Like, now legally it won't be, and that's an issue we get into. Obviously, there's going to be an issue between legal justification and moral justification. I think morally it's justifiable if you know you're going to get sent to CCOT. Like, look, like, again, not again, but like Kilmar Abrego Garcia has not been found guilty of any crimes. And they have toyed with this man and sent this man across the world. Now they're threatening to deport him to fucking Uganda. And he's been in CCOT. He went to CCOT. He had to suffer through a literal concentration camp. And the stories coming out of CCOT are terrifying, right? There was a 15-year-old kid that got thrown into Alligator Alcatraz. Right? Now they released him in like a day or two, but still, like, what? So like, if you fight against that level of oppression, I'm going to say morally you're probably justified here. Obviously, legally you won't be, because it's the state, and so the state can make any claims they want legally. But I'm going to say, like, morally you're justified in trying to protect yourself from going to a literal concentration camp.
And do you think that So do you think that we need to wait until ICE is right in front of us to do something about it? Or
the problem is, I don't know anymore what we can do. The Democrats helped create ICE, right? So it's not like it's not like they're all upset that ICE exists. They helped create the organization. Right. ICE has now been militarized in a way and been given. I mean, ICE was given power to ignore, to violate people's Fourth Amendment right. ICE can detain you just because of your race now, right? And this has been legal in the government. And the problem is, if you say to people, hey, you can absolutely defend yourself, they're probably going to get hurt worse. I would say,
who's going to get hurt worse?
The people that are actually defending themselves. I would say what we need to do is we need to look at like what they've been doing in California to prevent ICE. We need to be looking at community organization and action methods that have been concentrated in making sure people know where ICE is going. They know when ICE is showing up. They know when raids are happening. They're getting this information out. They're getting legal funds for people. They're activating immigration lawyers as soon as possible. Right now, that's what we need to be doing. We need, because we can't fight the state in our current state, if you know what I mean. The left can't combat the state in the state that we're in. But legally, we do have some powers, and legally we do have some ways to keep ICE at bay. I think that's really important right now. So look up community action organizations, and try to defend yourself that way. If you are somebody that is not at risk of ICE coming after you, so somebody who's white,
right? Yeah,
you need to be document every instance you see of ICE, video and audio. I don't care if you're in a state that says you can't do it, fucking do it. You need to be volunteering your time at legal organizations if you can, legal funds, things like that. I think that right now is the best method of fighting back that we practically have.
Okay. Well, thank you for talking to me, taking the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Have a good one.
You too. Yeah, I it's tough. And again, we don't have a lot of legal recourse because they're the state and they're blocking legal recourse. By the way, we made $53.68 while I was talking about Kirk. I'm going to round that up to an even 60, and I'm going to pick a cause to donate that to right now. I just don't feel comfortable keeping that money specifically. Anything people want to donate now, go nuts. That money I don't feel comfortable keeping. But Ryan did ask on Venmo when they sent me, "Hey, Javon, I love the content. Would love to call in to ask about the vacuum talking points that may come with this." Oh, that was Ryan that called earlier. Dope. So thank you, Ryan. I'm just going to pick a cause and throw that money over there because I just don't feel comfortable keeping the money that I got during that. Hello, are you here to debate?
No, I just have a few things about the Charlie Kirk situation that I wanted to discuss with you, if that's okay.
Can I just get your name, age, and pronouns, please?
Yeah, Alex, 28, them.
Alex, 28, they, them, no problem. Okay, Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, I just am at a loss for how to, like, handle this situation because, like, I get how everyone's feeling, why some people are maybe making too light of the situation when it's very serious. But I'm still getting so frustrated to see on the other side how many people are like, well, there are people who are making jokes about it. I have yet to see anyone like prominent on the left make a joke about it. I've seen condemnations. But that doesn't seem to matter. Like, I've definitely
seen people. Now, I don't. Maybe I agree. I don't know that I've seen many prominent people making jokes. But I've definitely seen plenty of jokes. Now, I will just say, like, I don't really give a shit if people are joking. Like, a lot of people respond to interactions a lot of different ways. So if they're making jokes about it, they're making jokes about it. I don't know.
When I say prominent, I mean kind of like elected officials because I continue to draw like parallels between what happened to Melissa Hortman and this situation where we had elected officials making jokes and spreading conspiracy theories about Melissa Hortman's murder. I haven't seen that happen, and I highly doubt we'll see that happen, the other way. So
I think the bigger, I agree with you on this. I think the bigger issue is looking at the response to violence from prominent figures. And I think, like I talked about earlier, I think Trump's statement is very telling because he specifically only highlighted political violence happening to right-leaning people. He didn't even touch political violence that has happened to people like to liberal politicians or left politicians. I think that is what's like super telling. Because all of them are bad, right? No politician should be, well, okay. Let me rephrase that. I was gonna say no politician should be gunned down, but like Schmittler probably should have been gunned down, right?
there's like exceptional circumstances you can point to in history.
Yeah, I don't think we have I I think we have people that are paralleling the start of Hitler. I don't necessarily know that we have a Schmittler right now in the United States. I think there is a Schmittler that exists currently, and his name rhymes with Schmet and Schmahu. But like,
agreed.
I think there is a difference between an act of political violence to stop like a genocide versus an act of political violence as we've seen with Kirk. I think those two things are like kind of different.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Totally
but yeah, I agree. I think the response is very interesting, seeing the response coming from people on the left versus people on the right. I think the response is very telling of like I said, I think the right now is just moralizing and just trying to get on a like moral high horse instead of like actually focusing on, you know.
I think why I feel like so like conflicted about it is because I fully agree. Like, you can't predict how someone's going to react to a situation like this. So I totally understand, like, there are people who are going to make jokes about it. There's people who are going to have a more serious response, and, you know, kind of to each their own. All of it is valid. I think what gets me frustrated is the fact that I know that, I shouldn't even say the fact, but what I'm worried about happening is that those reactions, because they're being posted online, then can be used by bad faith actors to say, well, see, this is how the left reacted, when it, you know, I just don't know how, like,
part of it doesn't matter, you know. You could
content. Please keep up the great work and
thank you.
Keep fighting the good fight. Ellie for love.
Because you saw, I mean, look at, I thought I had a very nuanced middle of the road take, and there are people in the chat going, you're a disgusting person. It doesn't matter. People's reactions to what you say are always going to be overblown, because most people on the internet don't take a second to think. They just want to respond. The internet is reactionary. So like, I think it's you could say whatever you want, and you know.
Oh yeah, it's definitely like a lose-lose situation. Like, there's no reaction or non-reaction that can be put out there, response or non-response that can be put out there that isn't going to be taken in like the worst possible way by people who are motivated to take it the worst possible way.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of just like have a question of like how to avoid like catastrophizing, because especially with the news yesterday, I had to stop being online because it was getting to a point of like psychological self-harm, where it was just like, here's what's going on in Gaza, and Greta Thunberg's boat got hit, and also this happened. And it's just, I don't know where the line between, oh, this is my anxiety catastrophizing something, versus this is a very reasonable response because shit's bad.
Yeah, I mean, I just think there's way too much nuance for it to be one thing, you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
Even like people commenting on it, like major, like if you're commenting that there's just one take to this and like that's the take people should have, I just don't buy it. This is like such a nuanced conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also just want to like echo what you said. I also am like, I hope they catch whoever did it. I'm a little scared that they'll try to pin it on someone if they can't find who did it.
Well, people in chat are telling me, and I'll look this up right now, but people in chat are telling me that Wall Street Journal is reporting that the bullet had pro-trans, anti-fascist messaging on it. I'll look in to see how accurate that actually is.
Gotcha.
That's what people in chat are saying is being said currently.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's scary as a trans person.
Yeah. Investigators found. Okay, I guess I'll look at this, but yeah, that's mostly my take on it.
Yeah. I just wanted to get a couple things off my chest. Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, have a good day.
Yeah, you too. I mean, this doesn't show that the shooter was trans, and I'm not going to sit here and say that the shooter is most likely right leaning, because I doubt it. But again, I think what's going to happen is trans people are going to end up being the ones predominantly to blame now, because nuance is lost in our society. Okay, where should I donate to? Who should I donate this money to? What are we thinking, chat? Some people said RFR. I know there's PCRF too. I could send it to PCRF. It's not much, but it's. Oh, I like the thought of like a trans. What's that trans medical organization? What is that one? I think that's a good idea. Point of Pride has the annual trans surgery fund. I'm going to send it to that. Donate.
Thank you, Boo.
Dedicate this gift is crazy.
Thank you, Boo.
In memory of is crazy. Could you imagine? Holy shit. Oh, well, Alan, thank you. Alan just sent $40 to round out the charity donation. So we'll do 100. Shout out to Alan. W Allen. Gonna do this right now. Use Apple Pay. Ching ching ching. Bling bling. Okay. And done. Oh, let me hide my. I don't want my email to be seen. So let me just. Wait. Oh God, come on. Okay. Just so everybody sees. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Now we know. Just so everybody knows, just for full transparency. Okay. That was to Point of Pride for their trans surgery fund. Okay, lines are open again. Faked it with AI, right? Yo, true. That was an AI donation, actually. Hello, are you here to debate?
No, it's Piglet. I wanted to ask you kind of a question. I had a thought about stuff we've discussed prior with Charlie.
Yeah, sure.
Do you need my name, age, date of birth?
No, you've called in multiple times, and I know you from chat. So go ahead.
I'm Piglet. I'm painted, and I'm me. No, So of course I do not. Me and I know that people that have been in the group for a long time probably also know that I do have a trans child.
Mm-hmm.
And she was home yesterday, unfortunately, because she was having a mental health crisis due to a bully. We've handled that. We're handling it. We're working on it. But anyway, so she was home when that happened. And, we were watching it, and I wanted to not send the wrong message, of course, to her. And I don't want to be a bad person. I am forever trying to keep working on myself to be a better version than I was yesterday, because I think that if you're not, you're dying, right? So we were watching it, and her reaction, she's a kid, and of course she was like, oh yeah, and I'm like, okay, wait, Olivia, though, okay, think about it. Sorry, her name's Olivia, but there's a million Olivias. Okay, so I said, think about it. Just like I tell you, and I don't want to speak from a point of, especially as talking to a black man, I have to teach her every day and I don't remind her every day, but we've had talks, especially at the beginning of school years. You have to be extra careful. It's the closest thing without having the lived experience, and I don't want to pretend that I do, as to having to talk to a black son. Like, you need to be careful with your actions because, you're a great kid, and people that don't know trans people, you may be the first one they meet, and so you might set the standard, but you also have to know that anything negative you do can be associated with your transness. And it's not fair, and it sucks, and I'm sorry, but it's the world. And I hate to have to be so blunt with her, but it's the truth, and I feel like I owe her that. And I hope that's not offensive in any way. That's the only thing I can kind of find any way to compare it to.
Well, no, it's
am I offensive?
It's unfortunately true. Every marginalized group will have that marginalized group blamed for any actions that they commit. So, I mean, we do see it in the black community, whenever if a black person kills another black person, all of a sudden it's black on black crime.
It's black.
So
if Olivia does something, it's because she's trans. It could be. You know what I mean? Like, it's a thing that unfortunately you have to do, and you have to prepare them for the world, and that's the way it is, and it sucks. But so I, was telling her too, because she has friend groups at school that are LGBTQ. Luckily, she's got some support there, some friends, and said you need to be careful with your words at school too. Okay, like I need you to be careful. You need to, like, are we going to lose sleep over this man? No. Are we going to feel crappy that his children witness that? Of course, because we are empathetic people, and I do use empathy because I think it's true. But I think it's just there's such a nuance there, and like you said, it's politically lost, especially, on the right. But, just trying to tell her those things. But in my own head, and I am trying to check myself because, we all have internal biases, like, and I don't consider myself racist or transphobic or any of those things, but I do know that I was raised in a world that gives me those messages that I have internalized without meaning to, and so I am forever trying to check my thought processes.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Am I speaking English? Okay.
No, it makes total sense.
Am I just saying words? Okay. So I don't know if this is a negative way to think, and I know that feelings are feelings and feelings are valid. But I also know, and we've talked about it in the past, that there is no revolution or change without violence.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know how to reckon with that. I know that we shouldn't shoot people. Nobody deserves that. But I also am kind of having trouble coping with this idea, like, and because I know it's going to come back, and I don't have the money to move right now. I'm working on trying to get her a passport just in case, but like, I don't have the money to be somewhere else right this second. But like, so I know that there's that too, and that comes into it. I'm sorry, I'm so ADHD. I feel like I'm struggling a little bit.
No, you're fine.
But basically, like, how do you reconcile the fact that, like, no, this shouldn't happen to anybody, but there has never been real social change without violence also?
I reconcile
Where do you
it.
meet those two?
The way I reconcile it is by understanding that explanations or reasons for something happening are going to be different than calls for that thing to happen. So, like, I recognize that the reason for what happened yesterday is because Kirk continuously engaged in forms of fascistic hate speech. And when you continue to engage in forms of fascistic hate speech, and you specifically are helping fascistic administrations, that somebody may come for you, right? This doesn't mean that it should happen. And recognizing that most revolutions do have a level of violence to them isn't calling for that violence. It's just an understanding of violence being a byproduct of a system that refuses to listen. I mean, not to sound like a white liberal and quote Martin Luther King, but riots are the
No, I
language
get
of the
it.
unheard. Violence is what happens when consistent calls for other forms of what's the word I'm looking for? Other
Like
forms of
action,
change, other
justice?
forms of change and action
Okay.
aren't addressed. So if you consistently ignore the voices of marginalized and oppressed groups, eventually those oppressed groups feel they have no other recourse. Again, that's not a call for anything. That is just an
Right. And I'm
understanding
not out there saying
historically
that,
of what
but I
happens.
realize that.
Like, for instance,
Okay.
the founding fathers wouldn't have dumped tea into the harbor if the British had just listened about taxation without representation, right? They wouldn't have felt they had the need to go Boston Tea Party,
Thank you, Boo.
right?
And please forgive this, but perhaps that I'm not going to make that. Nope, I'm not going to say that. Never mind. Sorry, I filtered myself.
That's
Sorry.
fine.
Okay, yes. Okay, I understand that. So then, I guess the second part or the other part that I'm having trouble grappling with or understanding, and I don't know that there's a way to know this, but I feel like you're more educated, and I should educate myself more when I ever have time, but you're more educated than I am on certain history outcomes. Like, so, I think we can expect a backlash towards left in general, but also trans folks. But how does that ever flip? When does that flip to actually cause change and not just like, where's the, when we were, I was a cell in a body somewhere. When people were fighting for the rights of Black folks, and there was violence that happened, and of course, I'm sure there was backlash there too, right? I mean, in fact, I know there was. But where's the flipping point there? Like, how does that work? Like, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? I feel like I'm having trouble kind of saying, like at what point does it become like, oh, there's change now? Like, what has to happen? Or do you know? Or is this even a question? Am I just crazy? I don't know. I'm just trying to
when you say the
thoughts.
flip, what do you mean? Like the flip from like violence to organizational change? Is that what you mean?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that there's a way to know. I do think if you continue, I do think if you engage in violence for your cause, you do run the risk of that violence hitting a tipping point into which you take it too far. And I do think if you just look for peaceful resolutions against powerful oppressive forces, you're just never going to affect any change on the reasonable level. Unfortunately, being that we're in capitalism, I actually think the most effective form of change does come financially, and I do think financial pressures are also violent. Just might be a violence that people just think differently. So when I look at this, like let's take what happened to Martin Luther King Jr., right? Sure. It wasn't the killing of Martin Luther King that led to the Civil Rights Act being passed. It was the massive amounts of riots that happened afterwards. Those put so much pressure on the government that they felt they needed to basically assuage people.
So sorry, go ahead.
I don't know that I have an answer, but I think if you just,
I guess you can't expect you to. I'm just trying to kind of sort through my feelings and thoughts here.
No, I think if you just lead with violence, and you lead with violence, but you have no operational systemic changes, then like what are you? It's just violence for the sake of violence. You know what I mean?
And that's
I don't think you
good.
should. I don't think you should ever lead.
Anyway,
I don't think you should ever lead with violence. Again, I think
right.
We just recognize that violence is a symptom of silence.
So can I?
But
sorry.
I just think you need some level of operational change that you need to be also advocating for.
So the difference there, though, and I just want to make sure that I'm picking this up correctly, though, is like Charlie Kirk got shot, and he was on, let's just simplify, right, okay? Martin Luther King got shot, and he was, to oversimplify, not. Okay, so with and I'm not sure, I might be incorrect on all of that, but just, yeah, I think you understand like the basic that I'm trying to say. And there were riots about that. So this is different because it's the opposing side, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's not going to be riots on the other side for that. You know what I mean? So I guess it's a different kind of like, this probably isn't going to lead to riots to cause that. It's going to be the protest and the continued voicing action, and when people are killed, or, you know, like I said, I had my child home because she was thinking of self-harm, which is shitty because she's a kid, you know, like when it's when the people on our side experience injustice and we continue to protest, that's where that comes from, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't want to take up more of your time. I just wanted to sort that out. And I was really struggling with like, yeah, no, this shouldn't have happened because that's a human, but also you don't get change without, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I guess I've been trying to kind of sort through that in my brain, but
no, I get you.
I appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
You have a good day, Javon.
You too, Piglet. Have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I really want to reiterate that fact that violence is never something to be called for. Say unless you're protesting a genocide. But violence is a response to silence. Political violence is a response to political silence. And I think I'm going to be very steadfast in that. How do you spell silence? What the fuck? SILC? No. No, that's fucking wrong. How the fuck do you spell silence? What? Oh, that doesn't look right. My brain's doing that thing where a word looks wrong. I swear to God, autocorrect has ruined a generation. And I'm one of them. All right, the lines are back open. I was never a good speller, so it's just gotten worse. Hello, are you here to debate?
Yeah. Well, no, not really. I wanted to talk more about like the Charlie Kirk stuff, like everyone else.
Okay. What's your name, age, and pronouns?
Emma, 28, Shive.
All right, Emma, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I know you said you have like kind of, sorry, I'm a little nervous. I know you said you feel basically indifferent about the whole thing. I mean, I'll be honest, I celebrated last night a little bit. I'm also obviously scared about the repercussions of it going forward. I guess I wanted to talk to you about people, and this isn't a direct, this isn't directed towards anyone in particular, but just kind of like talking about having empathy for Charlie Kirk and people saying things like, oh, because I've heard this and I've seen this on social media since yesterday. People like, oh, like some people are like, oh, like he's a human, like, you know, he was a father, he was whatever. And I'm like, I don't care. Like he was a transphobic, homophobic, racist, fascist.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of weird to have any sympathy or empathy towards him. I was curious about your thoughts.
I don't think it's weird to hold empathy for a person who dies in a way like that. Me personally, like, there are very few people in the world that if died, I would hold zero empathy for whatsoever.
Sure.
I don't care. And my empathy towards what happened to Kirk is more targeted at his children. I think they are going to be victims of this. Like, right? Like, I guess you could say I don't have empathy, but I have no sway one way or another on whether I'm happy or whether I'm, like I said earlier, I'm not happy. I'm not sad. I'm so indifferent to what actually happened to him. And that indifference is bred from, again, I agree. I believe he was a neo-Nazi. I believe he was a fascist. I believe he was a white supremacist. All of these things. Right. So I'm not gonna hold salt for Charlie Kirk dying. Right. I do think the way he went out was cruel.
Thank you, Boo.
I think a few things can be true. I think whether you believe what someone deserves, if you go, somebody deserves to be killed for whatever reason. I think we can all admit there are cruel ways to do that. And I think, the way he went out was kind of cruel. Like either whatever way you want to slice it. But again, I don't mind that people don't have empathy for it. I don't mind that people are celebrating. I'm not going to criticize those people. I'm not going to criticize any of that. My whole thing is his kids didn't deserve what happened. The people at that event didn't deserve what happened. Right? Like, there were people who weren't just his fans at that event who are now traumatized as well. Right?
Yeah.
At least when we look at like Luigi, right? At least Luigi did it like in the middle of the morning, like early morning, didn't affect nobody else but the guy, right? This affected a ton of people. So whatever way you want to slice it, like there are issues like that. So I do see the nuance there, but again, like, if you don't have empathy for him, if you're happy that he went, I have no arguments against you.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, you tell me if this is too parasocial. Do we not kind of feel like his kids and possibly wife are better off without him, though? Like, obviously, we don't know what was going on in his house. But if he's the kind of guy to spew that kind of bullshit, like, for a job, I do kind of wonder if, like,
whether or not his kids are better off or not, right? Whatever your views are on that, because it could go either way, right? I think a child who has a parent that, like, physically and verbally abuses them every day is probably better off without that parent in their life. That doesn't mean I think that child should witness that parent being killed. That is a different level of what's the word I'm looking for? That's a different level of trauma that I think people aren't prepared to talk about. Maybe not talk about, but that's a different level of trauma, right? You can have someone who you hate with a burning passion, but you could have a parent. Like, here's what listen. Slight insight into my life. I do not give a fuck if my father dies. I don't give a shit. Sorry, hey, don't care. If he dies, whatever. Does that mean I want to watch my father gunned down in front of me? No. My dad was a piece of shit. Sure. My dad was an absolute abusive fuckface. Does that mean I want to watch him get shot in the neck? No. And so I recognize that, like, I would prefer that these kids didn't have to witness their father shot in the neck.
So were they at that event? Am I missing that detail?
I'm seeing reports that both kids were at the event, and whether they weren't whether they were or weren't, they are going to see those videos at some point in their life.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, you can argue. The 1-year-old won't know what happened yesterday. All they'll know is that their dad is not with them anymore. But one day, those videos are going to get shown to those kids. Whether they look them up themselves, whether somebody shows it to them to piss them off, whatever it may be, those kids are going to see those videos. And again, that's a level of trauma I would not wish on anybody. Not a single person.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Maybe Netanyahu.
Sure. Yeah, I guess like ultimately my thing kind of boils down, I forget her name, but there's like that Russian, I believe she was a sniper for the Red Army, and they're like, oh, like how many men have you killed? and she was like, not men fascists, or not men Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that point is just kind of like, when I see people like empathizing and just taking that whole like, I don't know, they're so eager. It feels like people are so eager to like find nuance for Charlie Kirk, and I just don't understand it. I'm like, he's a shitty person. He was a Nazi. He was a fascist. I think we should hold like vitriol, and we should celebrate.
Yeah, but here's what I want to pinpoint. I think people like Kirk should be held accountable. There's no accountability in death. Arguably, in death you avoid accountability. You avoid it completely. Personally, I'm mad that don't get me wrong, the best thing Adolf ever did was take out Adolf. But I'm mad that he took out Adolf. He got to avoid facing any sort of repercussions for what he did. That pisses me off, right? So I do think there's a difference between, and again, I think that people can agree or disagree on what they think Kirk deserved, right? I think that is fine. Whatever you view personally on that, you view personally on that. I would have preferred he face some level of accountability for what he has done, and you can't face that accountability when you're not here, right? It's not like I don't believe in an afterlife, so it's not like he's I believe he's up there, down there, looking back on his life and going, oh, but I believe when you die, you're dead. There's nothing.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Okay. I suppose that makes sense. I don't want to take up much more of your time. Yeah. Again, I see what you're saying. I get where you're coming from.
But just reiterate, if you're happy about it and you're celebrating it and blah 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 blah, I go nuts. I don't disagree. I don't think that you shouldn't be.
Right.
Do whatever you want to do.
Gotcha. All right. Well, again, I've been a semi-recent, semi-long watcher, follower. I do really appreciate your work and your content, especially in regards to like trans issues and everything else. So keep up the good work. I appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Have a good one.
Like, I don't, not talking about the caller. I'm reading chat. I don't know what y'all want from me. You want me to just sit up here going, like, throwing a party? That's not who I am, and it's never been who I am. You guys have quite literally heard me time and time again advocate for rehabilitative and restorative justice. It's one of my key things. Do you think that just changes overnight? I kind of hold fast to my beliefs. And I don't change those beliefs based on the person. When I say I'm not for capital punishment and I'm not for mob violence, I'm pretty staunchly in that camp, guys. Now, you guys are going, yeah, we've also heard you say face the wall. What has my face the wall always been predicated with? It has always been predicated with that is the last resort if fascists refuse to give up their fascism. It's face the wall is always followed before with last resort. I've said time and time again, you know where I would send all the capitalists to an island. And if then if they refuse to go to the island, then we might have an issue. That's been my take from the get-go. How do we know when it's the last resort? Who makes the call? Definitely not some random person. I don't think one random person gets to make that choice. You know? Oh yeah, I remember that. Weren't you genociding capitalists? You guys remember? That was such a fucking crazy video. Bro, if leftists want to dislike me for advocating for transformative and restorative justice, then I don't know, eat my ass, I guess. What the fuck do they want from me? Again, I'm not saying I'm upset he's dead. I'm not saying I care whatsoever. But for some people, if your response to an action is not their response, they get all pissy about it. And I mean, that's fine, I guess. Leftists want to play revolution. I think there's a large group of leftists that do, but I also think there's a large group of leftists that, you know, are actually doing the fight. Yeah. All right. Call line's back open. I don't know how much longer I'll be live today because holy shit, was I feeling like shit when I came on live today, but I was like, I have to go live because of everything that happened. Hello, are you here to debate?
No, well, we'll figure that out because I honestly don't really disagree with anything I've ever heard you say so far. But I do want to run my personal thoughts about this entire situation and then some other things past you and kind of see like your take on it because you're a very rational individual.
Sure. What's your name, age, and pronouns, please?
Yeah, I go by Cloud. I don't really have.
Oh, we talked the other day?
I don't think so. I haven't called in before.
Why is your name Cloud? Your name sounds so familiar.
If somebody else goes by that name, then that's up to them. But no,
I didn't talk to you with Forrest the other day. That wasn't you.
No, I don't think we've ever spoken yet.
Oh, so there's another person going by Cloud that talked to me and Forrest the other day on the line. That's crazy. Cloud, do you have a homophobic father?
No, I do not.
Okay, so yeah, I guess there's another Cloud. Okay, Cloud, what's your age and pronouns, please?
Wow. I'm 26. I don't necessarily define myself by any pronouns because I feel different ways certain days, but I think it's more like fluid.
So just like any they them or any, like depending on the day is totally fine.
Yeah, anything in between. Yeah, I don't really care. I mean, I'm a dude or a male, I guess. So like, I don't feel that way every day. So
no, you're good.
That's not. Yeah. Somewhat nervous. Just happy to kind of talk here. So concerning this Kirk thing, I haven't heard anybody speak towards the fact of like if he knows that his like kind of career incites conflict or violence amongst people, is he aware of his involving of his family in this? Like I do have sympathy for his children, and nobody should have to experience seeing that happen to like their father or husband or whatnot. I feel like nobody's pointing out like they were at the event, and like that's also I just feel like it's putting him in harm's way. Like he knows like what he does brings about conflict and like could incite violence and to like
Well, he
bring your
did
family
know.
into that same space.
He definitely
Yeah,
doesn't know
so
anymore.
like,
But no, I
yeah,
understand I understand what you're saying. I
yeah,
personally would never put a child. I would never bring a child to an event like that to begin with.
yeah, that's my thought.
I don't necessarily think that a 3-year-old or a 1-year-old need to be there. I understand if you're bringing your kid to support you because, you know, you're their father and you want them to see what you do.
Yeah,
But like,
not even
I
like
don't know if the roles were reversed. I don't know. The problem is Charlie Kirk believed the stuff he was saying. So to him, he's introducing his children to what he believes is the appropriate worldview and everything like that. I was just looking for this. It was in my ear. So when I look at it from that way, listen, at the very least, he didn't pull an Elon Musk, right? And like put his child on his lap to prevent, because, you know, the very least he didn't do that. But yeah, I mean, this is a guy who has said that like he would make his kid give birth to their rapist babies if they were ever raped and impregnated, right? I don't know.
I would say his kids need to be present to hear that from him to see how he views that. That's something that they would need insight on. Like,
yeah, who knows? I mean, his kids could have gone the route of Barron Trump, or his kids could have gone the route of oh my God, what's her name? Elon's estranged daughter. Like we could have very easily, we could have had a situation like that, which would have been great, right? It would have been great if his kids turned out like Vivian. Thank you guys. It would have been great if his kids turned out like Vivian. That would have been fucking hilarious, right?
Literally.
Now, I think it's all but guaranteed his kids grow up to be conservative. Now, I can't see a world that they don't.
No
it's way.
Perpetuation. Yeah, I completely agree on that thing.
Yeah, so that's what I think.
I'm mad. So yeah, I get that. I mean, it's kind of like a violence begets more violence type mentality where it's going to spread regardless. And it kind of takes everybody to understand that it would perpetuate itself.
I do want to say, I don't think violence necessarily spreads. I think the claims that violence always spreads to further hate and violence can be true in some instances. I know that even I talked about this earlier, that violence without action or without action in reasonable plans can. That I think can. But I think violence doesn't always necessarily lead to more violence. I think that take is used by oppressive regimes to try to persuade the people that they're oppressing from committing violent actions. Not saying that violent action should be your go-to. Again, I'm always going to say that reasonable action and common sense stuff like that should be tried first. I don't think violence necessarily should be tried. I think it's just a byproduct of silence. But still, I think that oftentimes repressive regimes use this idea. It's like, here's what I'll refer to it like. You know, when movies be like, oh, don't get revenge because you'll feel terrible after the fact. I don't believe this.
No,
I don't believe this is I don't believe that universal shit, bro. Batman should just kill the Joker. Let's be so for real.
I think I should reiterate that and say, like, kind of hate usually perpetuates hate. Like, people coming to a point of disdain for each other isn't necessarily going to like further a point of like understanding between people. It's only going to like create more of a divide between people. So I guess it's not necessarily to the degree of violence that I should be saying. But yeah. Second thing doesn't have to do with Kirk at all.
Okay.
So we've been seeing a lot of countries in like Eastern and Southeastern Asia protesting and just like toppling their governments that are like highly corrupt or just not caring for the people or doing self-serving activities like Nepal or like Tunisia. Do you think we are even on that type of track here in this country? Do you think that's even like a point that we could reach, or if that's even like unnecessary? I don't think it's necessary. I mean, there's obviously a turning point where we could go back and fix things, but I don't see, because even amongst like BLM protests or like when it breaks into like riots or looting, like we never get to the point of like let's burn down Capitol Hill. Like nobody's getting to that point, or like we're not pulling politicians out of their house. Do you think that's even like a possible scenario here, or is it just going to play out differently than it would over there? And also, I'm for protest, I'm for revolution, but we also always have to like have a plan of like the after and like to replace like.
That's what I'm saying. Reasonable plans and actions need to exist for your revolution to be to actually be a revolution. It's not a revolution if you're just like, let's topple this government and then everybody else can figure shit out. That's not a revolution.
Exactly.
Right? Revolution has to be accompanied by a plan. It just has to be. What I'll say is I do think America has the ability. Look at was it GKY? Is that the I don't know if anybody knows this. We talked about this on the Weekly Dump, like in like my first or second episode. There is a factory in Italy that's been taken over by workers and has been for 3 years. This factory has been run and owned by workers who refuse to let the factory fire them all. That's the type of shit, bro. That's the type of working shit. And these people are being supported by the community. They're being like, this is the type of shit. When we talk about leftist revolutions and shit, this is the shit I want people to look at, right? I don't want people to look at, I don't want people to just look at like, hey, let's just like have a war, right? That's not going to do shit. And what's going to end up happening in a situation like that, which is what I dislike about a lot of leftists, is they forget that like disabled people and like all these other groups exist. I'm not willing to put these groups in harm's way for my like revolution. But what won't put them in harm's way is actionable worker-led protests and revolutions in this way. So I think if we do things like these, like, I'm sorry, I would love to see Amazon workers do more than strike. I would love to see Amazon workers overtake some of their factories and they put themselves in charge. I would love to see that. That shit would be amazing. And that is plans. Like, let me look up the name of it. Italian factory protest. What was it? It was GKN. It was the GKN Automotive Factory. They have been, actually, it's more than 3 years now. They have been, that the workers took the control of that factory in 2021, and they still can maintain control of that factory. That's the shit I'm talking about.
Amazing. Absolutely. No, I want to see more of that everywhere. I mean,
that's the leftist organization I would love to see build in the United States.
100%.
Now you run the issue of the America's militarized police. So that's going to be an issue, right? I don't want to see people. I don't want to see the workers harmed over shit like that. But like, just saying again, that type of action, fucking chef's kiss.
Absolutely, and I'm just scared that like that something like that is somewhat out of reach for us because of the opposition that we would incur for attempting to do something like that, or just like full sending it. Like, I feel like if we did try and do that, we would immediately run into like an armed resistance from like whatever private military or whatnot that a corporation might be able to like request your favor to use. I just muddled the fuck out of my words.
No, you're good.
God. Yeah, I just don't like if we went to go and take over like an Amazon factory, I wouldn't want to see like the National Guard standing outside of it, because Jeff Bezos pays a certain amount of money to the U.S. government, and now they have his favor, and so like he's like, oh, they're at our factory, and so now we have to like have them. Yeah, so I just don't want us to like run into armed opposition. Because
sorry, hold on. Somebody is saying in chat. Somebody's saying in chat that the New York Times is reporting that the Wall Street Journal report on the rifle found does not match summaries of evidence and might turn out to have been misled or misinterpreted. So, look, this is why people just shouldn't report until we get official say from the FBI or police on the ground. Not that like I'm going to believe everything Kash Patel says, but it's more verifiable than like the Wall Street Journal said something.
Because they immediately arrested somebody, and then they were like, he's not the person you're looking for, and then they found somebody
Well,
else.
that happens.
Like,
that happens
I'm
all the
not
time in
fit
shooting.
either.
So I
No.
that I understand.
I think we're just too quick to like try and bring up a resolution, and that's also kind of like the danger of like demonizing trans people with that. Cause like I really hope they don't bring that out and be like, oh, he was trans, or like another like marginalized demographic that incapable of like defending themselves on a larger platform the way other people would be able to, or just quickly to be villainized by media. Because I mean, that was like the first thing I saw, like within the same sentence of being like, we feel bad for Charlie Kirk, but also like, well, then the left is also praising this and like villainizing people. It's, I don't know. I feel like my brain is getting like melted on a constant basis, just looking at people wanting to state opinions on top of things that just simply happen. Like, you can see a violent act, but then politicizing said act on top of like recognizing what the act is in itself.
Here's my take on like revolutionaries.
Yeah.
If somebody is calling for revolution, but they've made no fundamental action towards community change or community organizing, that person doesn't actually want a revolution. That person's playing revolutionary.
Yeah.
If you got somebody like Fred Hampton, somebody like Malcolm X, somebody like these type of people that are standing on business, then those people, I agree, those people are revolutionaries. But I think if you got somebody who's just like, we need a revolution, and then they say, and then they do nothing.
Yeah.
That's
like not anybody you should put your faith behind, or like they're not using it properly. Yeah. I feel like I'm kind of rambling because I really do agree with like just about everything you could fucking possibly say. I mean,
no, you're good.
You're a very rational individual, and that brings a lot of like, what's the word for it? It brings me peace of mind to know that other people think like that and have like that type of like conscious brain working in their head. Yeah, it makes me happy. So. Always do what you do. I like how your brain works.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna get out of here so you can talk to other people. I'm at work right now, but I just really want to hop into the chat. I'll still be watching. Because this is just brightening my day a little bit. I feel a lot better hearing other people talk about this and sharing their experiences. I hope today and tomorrow is a better and brighter day for everybody involved. Doesn't matter kind of what side of the aisle you're on, because I really just want to work for like a better solution for us all to exist peacefully and not have to have such biases or hatred or ignorance toward each other. Nobody should have to die, especially for gun violence, unless I feel like the only thing that would warrant it is the refusal to acknowledge the sanctity of life for others, kind of like relinquishing any type of like respect for your own life in that concern. Like if you have no problem killing a bunch of people, then I don't expect anybody to feel bad about you getting killed. That's kind of as far as I push that. Like I'm never gonna wish harm on somebody. Never wished harm on Kirk at all. Not even fucking one. I don't wish like a rock or anything to hit him.
I wish there's only one person in the world right now I currently wish, and that's rhymes with Schmet and Schmahu.
Yeah, Schmet Schmahu. Yeah, anything can happen to him, and I'm pretty okay with that. But again, I'm not gonna sit here and be like somebody has to do something immediately because I guess he's just too deep in the fucking pot. You can't really. I wish enlightenment on people. I don't wish like violence upon people. I want somebody to like come to a point of understanding where they can like move forward amicably and like not.
But again, I think multiple things can be true. Yeah. I think that like someone might. Sorry, I took my medicine and it feels like it's still in my throat. Oh god, that feels so bad. Oh shit! Is that gonna come back up?
You good? I hope not.
This is why I don't like taking pills.
I'm not watching, but I assume that pill is huge. I'm right there with you.
Anyway, I think a few things can be true. I think Kirk didn't deserve to go out the way he did, but I also think the world is better off without a Charlie Kirk in it. Whether the way that he was not in it as a Charlie Kirk was to change his views and espouse different things, or not be here anymore. Like, I think both things can be true at the same time. That he probably didn't deserve to go out the way he did, but that the world is better off without him in it.
Yeah, and I just think that since watching like some of these debates and like the difference in like whether like people are prepared to debate with him or not, seeing him lose a debate makes me hope that he can come to like a new point of understanding. He usually doesn't, but I guess didn't. But every time somebody's able to like trounce him in a debate, I really hope that he's able to like turn a new leaf in life and just like change his point of understanding and like point of reference for things, especially when people provide like accurate historical facts or like
I don't know that he ever was gonna. I don't know that he ever was going to. But like again, I
think that's just my personal hope.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but I mean, I was in like a 2-hour debate with a friend about this, and I think I just came to the conclusion that I'm just an idealist, and I really like the world to be a better place. But
yeah, I do want to agree with what some people in chat are saying. Charlie Kirk was probably never going to change because he made money. He made money off of what he did. You think he wants to? You think Charlie Kirk wants to give up his wanted to give up his millions of dollars? He would have lost so much money had he changed.
Yeah, people just won't change because of the money in it. I mean, a lot of things won't change because of how profitable it is. Like,
listen, I want to believe in my heart of hearts that I wouldn't turn Candace Owens for a check, but it depends on how big that check is. I want to believe I would never. I want to believe I would hold fast to my ideals 100% of the time, because I had these same ideals when I was making $0 off of this. When I was doing this just for fun, I had the same ideals. I want to believe I would never compromise on those. But I don't know what would happen if somebody offered me $1 billion tomorrow and said, "Hey, become the new Candace Owens." I would sit there and I would have to think about it.
You could say no to $1 million. You could say no to 2-3 million and like be okay. But like they start increasing that amount, people's morals.
It's like when someone tells me I would never have sex with a man, no matter how much money I'm offered. No, there's a number.
I'm like,
there's a motherfucking number, bro.
You're bending over.
There is a motherfucking number, and what is that number?
If
me?
Billions, that it doesn't even.
My number is pretty low. I feel like 10,000 is all I would need.
10K.
10K is like 10K is like a life-changing amount of money for people. Like, but no, I genuinely don't think. I genuinely think I'm pretty steadfast in my ideals. Like, I understand that if I just switched and put out a video that says why I left the left and I started doing what I do for the right, I would make so much more money. And I recognize this. And I'm not going to do that. So like, but like, that's the thing. When you have people who make a lot of money espousing specific ideas, it becomes very hard to recognize whether those people are would ever change, at least publicly change, because they're making so much money.
Yeah. I think if he was in it for like the quote unquote love of the game, then he would be a little bit more prone to changing his patterns of thought. But with how much, I mean, since it's literally his career and he makes a healthy amount of money to do that, I wouldn't ever see it changing in a realistic sense. And that applies to a lot of individuals, especially certain politicians or elected representatives on either side of the aisle. I mean, they'll all just do certain things just because of what's in their back pocket now. But yeah. I could take a long time to get into all this, and I'm sure you probably even know more than I do on this all. So yeah, I'm kind of out of things to say because I just kind of want to listen now.
All right, Cloud. Well, thank you so much for calling in, friend.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, honestly. First time calling in. I'm super excited to talk to you. Yeah, have a good day, dude.
Yeah, you too. Dorping. Could you guys just think how much money I'd make if I made a video like destroying the cat ears and like if I started going to the gym and said, "Oh, the male loneliness epidemic is real." You gotta be a high-powered man in your Bugatti. Could never. How long have I been live? Shout out to the fact that like 400 of you are watching on Twitch right now. That's crazy numbers. Love you guys. And there's been like between 8 and 1,000 people watching on YouTube. So shout out to all of you guys. This live replay will not be monetized. I don't plan on monetizing it. If I post any of these conversations, I don't plan on monetizing them on YouTube or anything like that. Because they're not my usual content. And I just don't think monetizing the death of somebody is something I want to do ethically. But if anybody would like to actually debate, the lines are open again. Andrew Cakes would be a really great name for a drag queen. That'd be kind of good. Hello, are you here to debate?
Yeah, no, Jovan, I just wanted to add a little bit of something, if that's okay with you. I just wanted to ask you a few questions about the whole Kirk thing.
Sure, can I get your name, age, and pronouns?
Sure, my name's Funk, and my age is 56, and I am he, him.
Funk is a great name, by the way.
Thank you.
All right, Funk, what are your questions?
Well, my thoughts are that, and I'm wondering how you think about this as well. I mean, a lot of people knew who Charlie Kirk was, but a lot of people didn't until recently. And I kind of have this feeling that a lot of the vitriol that's being hurled at Kirk's death, and I'm not saying it's not worth it or they're not justified in their anger, but I kind of have a feeling that a lot of it is about the frustration of inability to make changes themselves directly. I think people have a lot of frustrations with the way the current system is, and that they don't know how to correctly or to appropriately voice it. And that this is kind of that opportunity for them to vent their frustration. I think it's kind of like a scapegoat for their own anger right now. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I definitely wouldn't disagree with that. I mean, a lot of times people are a lot of the times when something happens, people are going to personalize anything, right? They're going to personalize it because that's just how we as humans connect with things. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, and not that I'm claiming that you're saying it is. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, but I think it's definitely humans personal. I think that's just all it is. We as people personalize events, so that way we can connect with those events a little better. And I think that's what's happening here. But I also think there are a lot of people who this event directly affects or was directly affected by things Kirk said or did, like trans people, black people, queer people. All of those people were
directly. That away at all.
Oh yeah, no, I would hope that nobody thinks that's that you're trying to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're all justified in their anger and in their frustration. And I mean, a lot of the things he said was just horrible. And so I understand that completely. It's just, I think that the reason you're seeing so much of it isn't just because of Kirk. I think it's just this frustration that people have. Because I know, like, for me, I've been frustrated since the beginning of the year with people who are saying, "Oh, this is horrible, this is horrible, and this is horrible," but they give no actionable response. They don't tell you what you can do. They just want to tell you how horrible things are. And I think that a lot of people have been hearing this over and over and over again, and it just builds up inside of them. And so when something like this comes and happens, maybe even the best of us are reacting in ways that are, they probably would never act on any other situation. I'm not saying it's not justified. I agree that there's a lot of justification to it. I just think it's more than just Kirk right now. I think it's just the collective, of frustration from people.
I think there's a few things, and I touched on this a bit earlier in the conversations. I think people are very frustrated with the system as it stands right now. I think people are frustrated watching people glorify a man who glorified a genocide.
Right.
I think a lot of people are frustrated watching people glorify a man who glorified racism and homophobia and sexism and patriarchy. I think a lot of people are frustrated at this, and I agree with you.
Oh yeah,
I think there are a lot of people who genuinely hated Charlie Kirk. I forgot his name. That's crazy. I think there are a lot of people that genuinely hated the man. And I think we have to remember that we exist in a time where Americans have been so desensitized to violence that, when something violent happens, a lot of the times we'll just shrug it off. We'll just be like, okay. I know I'm super desensitized to violence. The fact that I watched what happened to Kirk, and my immediate reaction was, this looks like AI. Right? Because my immediate reaction was, that's so much blood. I've only seen that in the movies. Should tell you how desensitized I am to watching violent things occur. I mean, I'm sorry, but I grew up watching you remember the movie Hostel?
Yeah.
I saw when Hollywood gets so real with its special effects that you can't discern the fake shit from the real shit. I mean, I grew up in a time where LiveLeak was a super popular website. Right, I don't know if people remember. I don't know if people remember the Darwin Awards, but watching people die on the internet is not anything new for me.
Right.
I do think. How do I want to phrase this? I don't know. I would just hope that, again, the focus stays on the people who are going to be affected by this, that were there, whether that be his kids or not. But I also think, listen, if people are on Twitter making jokes, they're on Twitter making jokes, right? Yeah. I think it's so funny the side of free speech gets all butthurt when people make jokes when something happens. I don't care about. There are some times when I think a joke is too far, and there have even been a couple of ones that I've seen about Charlie Kirk that I think have gone just a tad bit too far, right? Where I'm just I don't know that this is the joke you want to make now. Yeah. And listen, in 5-10 years, I probably won't feel the same way about those jokes, right? I know today is the day, but I can't tell you the last time I didn't laugh at a 9/11 joke, right? I can't tell you. That shit makes me laugh. I think there are some things that I think we just shouldn't joke about, right? I think personally, I don't think we should joke about the ongoing genocide happening in Gaza. I just think that that's ongoing.
Right.
So I don't know. I understand people's frustrations. I see where they're coming from, and I don't want to police how people respond to any traumatic
event. I would
event,
never even. Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of, in a way, leads into my next question. And, this is a question that I think people don't like to hear, but I think it's one of those things that we need to have a discussion about, which is that Charlie Kirk and other people like him don't just appear out of a vacuum.
100%.
they come out of the culture and the societies that they were raised in. They come out of the influences that existed in their life, and it's you know, Charlie Kirk's dead and all, but there's going to be another Charlie Kirk in a week from now. They're going to find someone else to put in his place, and you know, we really have to look at ourselves, I think, and we have to say, what is it that we're doing as a culture or as a society that is creating this kind of that like I would have rather, if he's going to die, I would rather have him died in obscurity, you know, than in the way that he died, getting shot and having all this publicity around him and all this other stuff. I would rather we had a society where he just died in obscurity and nobody really knew what he was doing. But that's not the situation. That's not the truth of the matter.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. He was not created in a fucking vacuum. 100%.
Right. Right. And so I think we need to take some responsibility for that.
I when you say we, who do you mean?
Well, I mean as a culture and a society, and just like we need to stop and say, you know, what is it that we're doing that is, you know, this keeps happening, you know, that these kind of people keep rising up.
Well, Charlie Kirk is a byproduct of, and I'm going to drop this video. I don't think I mentioned him in the video, but he is one of them. Charlie Kirk is a byproduct of this is going to sound so conspiratorial, but it's not, because we have all the proof of it. Charlie Kirk is a byproduct of what's called the Dark Enlightenment. Charlie Kirk is the byproduct of a concerted effort by wealthy oligarchs to take control of every facet of our government, including the government, including the media presence, including this weird technocratic, whatever it's called. He's a byproduct of this. He's a byproduct of Peter Thiel enacting his ideals of what he wants the world to be, and trying to, I mean, these people, Peter Thiel, what was his name? Something Paul Yarvin? I don't remember his name. I know it's Yarvin. But these people have quite literally said democracy needs to go away. We need to not have a democratic system, and we need to run everything like a corporation and instill leader. Curtis Yarvin, thank you, chat. And we need to instill a leader. Kirk was a byproduct of this. He was a direct byproduct of this thinking. And what I worry about is how much further this is going to take. I mean, they've pumped billions of dollars into this. Both conservative and liberal leaning billionaires have pumped so much money into this, and they are on track to complete their plans. They're making it. So like Mark Andreessen, yes, 100% chat. I need to drop this video. We did a whole segment on it on the Weekly Dump on Sunday, so I need to put it on the channel so you can see. But Kirk was a byproduct of this.
What I hear you saying is it's the millionaires and it's the rich people's fault. And I'll agree with you to a large extent on that.
I don't know if I'll say it's their fault, but they're definitely the ones who are pitting working class people against each other. Right?
Yeah, I'll definitely agree with that.
Charlie Kirk didn't preach for worker solidarity. He didn't want workers to all come together to make a better life for themselves. He wanted white
in other
Christian
words, it's no
men
coincidence that a lot of the things that he talked about benefited the rich.
Exactly. 100%.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, hey, thanks for talking to me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I hope you have a great day, and I hope your back is feeling better. I know your back was hurting a couple of days ago. I hope it's feeling better by now.
No, and now it like on my right side, and I don't know if I should go to the hospital for this. On my right side, like right here, if people on chat can see, inside my body, it's felt like someone has been squeezing my organs, like for like the last 12 hours. So I might be dying. Who knows?
That's not good, man. You should have that checked out for sure.
Oh, probably.
Yeah. All right, man. Take care.
Yeah. Okay. You have a good one.
Bye.
Yeah. Like right here, I've been like all day. I've been like, oh shit. And at first I was like, oh, is it my blood sugar? Is my blood sugar off? But I've checked my blood sugar last night, and it's doing very good. I've been getting it very under control with my dieting and stuff. So yeah. Fingers fucking crossed. Is it back? It's never gone away. My appendix is still in, but appendix pain should be way worse than that, right? It's right here. So if this is my boobie, right here is where I feel it. And I felt it all night. I should just call my doctor's office, but you know. That would require me speaking to somebody on the phone, which I don't know if I can do. All right. I am only answering Ryan's call next. Ryan has been saying in chat that they've been trying so hard to debate me. So if you're not Ryan, I'm gonna move on to Ryan. Hello, are you here to debate?
I am here to debate.
Is this Ryan?
It's Ryan.
There we go. Okay. I know you've been trying to get in, so I will make sure. Okay, Ryan, can I just get your age and pronouns, please?
Yeah, I'm 23 years old. I'm a he, him.
Okay, and what topic did you want to debate about, Ryan?
So we actually had a conversation a couple weeks ago. We had two conversations, and they were both in relation to capitalism and specifically solving food insecurity. Initially within a capitalist system, I feel like I provided a really good answer as to how I would solve it, and I asked you for your answer, and I don't think I was satisfied with your answer for how you would solve global food insecurity within your system. Okay. And then I'm also down to defend landlords as well. I know that's a controversial topic.
Oh shit, let's do that.
I was hoping to hash out those two things. Okay, can we do that? I want to do the food insecurity thing first.
Sure. I mean, I don't have a comprehensive plan on how to solve global food insecurity, other than actualizing people to volunteer time and effort to make sure food gets to where it needs to go. Because we have the food, we just don't get the food to where it needs to go. That would be I don't have like a comprehensive plan on how to do that. Because I'm not a planner. Like I don't have like the organizational skills to put that together.
Okay, that's fair.
But I would love to talk about the landlord thing.
All right, let's go. You state your claim, I'll state mine, and then we can have a conversation about it.
Well, my claim is pretty simple. I think landlords are leeches. I think they don't provide a service. They effectively seize property off the market and make it so that in order for someone to live in that property, they have to pay more than what the property is actually worth.
Okay. I'll stick out my claim that the relationship between landlords and tenants is a mutualistic one. There's a demand for landlords in the market. Some people either can't afford a house or don't want to buy their own house. So landlords provide an opportunity for those people to get housing.
So we're coming at this from two different standpoints, it seems. You're coming at this from an is claim, where I'm coming at this from an ought claim.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
You're coming at this from an is claim, where I'm coming at this from an ought claim. You're saying it is the case that landlords fulfill a need in the market. I don't disagree with this based on the way the market is set up right now. I don't disagree that home ownership is incredibly expensive. I don't disagree that getting into home ownership is incredibly expensive and that most people don't have the capital to do this. I'm saying landlords ought not exist and the system ought be set up in a way that people can have the capital to purchase a home, to do all of these things. Like, personally, I think rent should be put on your credit. Doesn't make any sense that I pay thousands of dollars a month to my landlord and my credit continues to go down from other stuff when it's very clear that I'm making payments and I can make payments on time. So we're just coming at it from two different types of claims.
Yeah. So I could provide like an ideal description of how I would, if I became God Emperor of the world, how I would distribute land.
Well, before you do that, let me just ask you a question. Do you believe that it is, not that it's not necessary right now, because I can agree that as the system is set up now, landlords are an unfortunate necessity, but do you believe it's ethical to purchase a property and then re-put that property on the market for however much above the worth of that property? Like, do you believe that it's ethical to sell something for more than it's worth, I guess is the question I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's just how markets work. right? You have your supply curve, you have your demand curve. And
Hold on, just real quick. I'm not
asking
you an is claim there. I understand that that's how markets work now, but I'm asking if you think that this is that it's ethical that markets work that way.
Yeah, I don't necessarily God, this sounds so optically bad. I don't really bring ethics into it. I look at the actual efficacy of the system, right? Like, I think it's ethical if everybody can have a home. So if this is the best way to distribute land so that everybody has a home, then I support it. I think that's ethical. And I think that
I definitely don't think this is the best system.
Well, that's what I said. I wanted to describe my ideal system because it is slightly different than what we have in the United States, but it does still involve landlords. And I think that is the most efficient. Yeah. So let's say it's going to take like a minute or two for me to give out my whole thing. Sorry.
Yeah, take as much time as you need.
If you look at places like Singapore or Vienna, which is the capital of Austria, they still have a private market where you can buy houses, you can rent out a house from a landlord, an apartment, whatever. And there are genuine benefits to that, right? Like, I'm a renter. I have a luxury apartment. My landlord provides amenities to me that I could not get in public housing. I would prefer to live in my current apartment than in a publicly owned apartment because I've got a hot tub, I've got a fucking big ass pool, I've got a nice ass gym, I've got a cold plunge, I've got a sauna, I've got all these things in my apartment, and I would prefer this over public housing. But I think having the option of public housing was a perfectly fine one for maybe the bottom 25 or 50% of people. And I think in the United States we could invest in more robust public housing, but I think there's always going to be a demand in the market for landlords. That's my ideal system. So that maybe a little bit of an expansion of public housing. But I also think we could pair that with deregulation and a couple other things. Basically, I'm an abundance-pilled liberal, right? Ezra Klein type shit. I think that would, by far and away, be the best way to handle housing, and I don't think that involves getting rid of landlords.
So you just think that there should be a system of public/private housing. Do you think the private housing would do as good if there was a public option, or do you think private housing would suffer profits if there was a public housing model alongside of it?
I mean, necessarily more people would probably choose public housing than what we have today. Our public housing options in the United States are pretty limited. But if we look at countries with robust housing markets, there's still plenty of room. I'm stuttering. If we look at modern countries with robust public housing options, we still see a large and very strong private housing market, both for owning and renting. Because renting does give you options to certain amenities that you can't get in a public apartment.
I understand, but you agree that there would probably be some suffering of profits to the private model if there was a robust. I don't just mean like the public models that we have now, but if there was like a robust public option that anyone could take part in, right? You would agree that there would be some harm to the private sector.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Do you think that the private equity side of it would do anything in their power to prevent this public side from coming to fruition?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay. So my big. Go ahead.
Sorry. I don't think private equity is nearly as big of a force in the housing market as people want them to be.
Okay.
I think like 80+% of landlords are like mom and pop shops, like they own one house.
Sure, I should have phrased differently. When I say like private equity, I just meant like people who privately own their homes. That I should have phrased that a little better. When it comes to landlording, do you think there should be legal protections in place to make it so that landlords can't sell their property out from under their renters and or can't kick renters out for no reason?
I think they should have to give notice. But I think it's your property. You should be able to do what you want with it. But you should give a reasonable amount of notice so that they'll have time to find.
Okay, this would be an issue that I have with this here, right? Like, let's say I'm a perfect. I'm an all but perfect tenant. I've paid my rent on time for years. I continue to pay my rent on time. Why is it the case that because I didn't have the equity to or the capital to purchase a property, that now I'm suffering and having to find a new home because my landlord may have said, oh, I can make more money if I just sell my house to these people for more. Or I've now sold my property and these new owners are now going to increase the rent of the tenants there to kick them. Because this happens all the time where like we'll see someone buy up a rental property, increase the rent to like kick out the people that lived there previously so they can bring new people in and charge more for that property.
I don't necessarily have an issue with that. I'm sorry. It's not your property. I think that's, if they're raising the rents or kicking someone out to raise the rent, that's because the market equilibrium has shifted. And once again, as I've stated, I think that's just the most efficient way to distribute resources. It's the way that it, like, if we look at, my counter to this would be to look at like supply side restrictions to housing policies, which sounds more moral, right? Like you restrict, you put like price caps on rents and stuff. But we see that this necessarily leads to a shortage in the supply of housing, and in the end it leads to more homeless people than a system than what you're describing as immoral. So like if you're going to solve this issue, you need
wait. I'm just wondering how you believe that the system that I'm talking about would lead to more people who are homeless.
Well, I mean, it sounds like what you're suggesting is price caps on renting, or am I right? Like price caps on renting and not allowing tenants to be kicked out?
Yeah, well, I think there should be protections against price gouging of rent. I personally think that if we're going to keep a model of rental ownership, then rent should never be higher ever than I'm going to what I used to have this down pat. I think rent should never be higher than a certain percentage above the average pay in that given area. So whatever the average, so like if we take give me a random US city.
New York.
Give me a city that's not New York.
San Francisco.
Okay. Let's just San Francisco. Do you have like
Phoenix.
a specific?
I'll say Phoenix.
Okay. It's just when you get to those larger cities, you have to now look at like the smaller individual neighborhoods. But we can use Phoenix. Let's just use Phoenix, Arizona, average income. The average income in Phoenix, Arizona for an individual is like 40,000, 41,000, give or take. So let's say we just cap it at 41,000 as just a thing. That's the average take home income. I think rent should never be higher than, I don't know, maybe 30% of that. Rent should not be allowed to be higher than 30% of that. So what's 30% of 41,000?
That'd be $12,000.
Damn, you knew that right off jump.
A little bit over 12, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it's about 12,300. Then we divide that by 12. Rent should never be more for a single bedroom apartment. Rent should not be allowed to charge more than $1,025. Now, I think you can add a little bit on if you have amenities. Like that's if we're keeping this current system, right? So let's say you have a pool on property, and you have a gym. You can pay maintenance fees to keep these running. I think you should have to have that optional. So it should be the case that somebody moving in can opt into using these facilities. And if they don't want to use these facilities, they don't get charged for these facilities. Now that might mean that the only people that are rented to are the people that will use them, but whatever. But I think rent should not ever be allowed to be more than that amount in that given area. And then we can say you can add on an extra 100 or 200 per bedroom if we want to. But that would be my when we talk about price capping rent, that would be what I would say in order to, and it's not even about keeping it fair, but in order to keep people housed.
Yeah. Okay. So my response to that, and I want to be clear, I'm not necessarily like super ideological in terms of like my preferred mode of production. I try to go with what I believe is pragmatic. And once again, as I've stated, what's pragmatic in my mind is what can house the most people most efficiently. and what can allocate resources most efficiently. The issue with what you're saying, and there's a lot of data on this, there's a lot of research, like if you're an empiricist, it's undeniable, is that what you're proposing disincentivizes the development of new housing, it disincentivizes the maintenance of existing housing, and inevitably, in almost every single situation that your proposed system has been tried in, it leads to massive supply side shortages.
The reason why the reason
why
why I think this would disincentivize things like that is because it's not coupled with any sort of fiscal change for the property owners, right? Like, cost of living is going up without any change in take home pay. So what do we do to help with that? And if the answer is not we make it so that people's cost of living goes down, what is the answer then? I think go ahead.
Sorry. We agree that the cost of living needs to go down, or at least wages need to rise faster than the cost of living increases, because I'm in favor of inflation. But the way to do that is not by price capping. That's not an effective way to distribute resources. The way to do that is to expand the supply of housing.
Well, we have been expanding the supply of housing, and it's not been doing it.
Well, what happened is during the pandemic, the housing supply was severely constricted, right? We saw
even
that
pre-pandemic, though, we saw the expansion of the housing market, and it's not been doing what it's been said time and time again that will happen.
No, pre-pandemic housing market situation was pretty good. Like, I think the median home sale, I live in Phoenix, which is why I use it as an example. The median home sale price in Phoenix was like $250,000 before the pandemic.
But I'm saying the price was still rising while income was still staying stagnant. This was still happening. The price of homes was still going up and the income was still staying stagnant, even at a time where homes were being built.
So I reject that as well. Like, and this is something you have to use local economies on, because every housing market is different. Phoenix is a rapidly growing market. We have seen median household income increase significantly. And on top of that, what you're not factoring in is the cost of capital. So basically the cost of a mortgage. The cost of capital reached an all-time low in 2019, which meant it was the easiest time in human history to buy a house. I don't think that the housing market is and in Phoenix, the housing market generally did outpace wage growth, but that's because we're a rapidly growing city.
Wait,
I don't think it was.
I think it's a little bit dishonest to say I reject that this happened, that the price of housing was rising while income was staying stagnant, and then say I acknowledge that it was happening.
Well, in Phoenix specifically, because we have to take it on a market. But like,
can you show me an area that this
Phoenix?
wasn't
Cleveland,
happening?
Ohio, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, St. Louis, Missouri, Dayton, Ohio. We could look at Tulsa, Oklahoma. I could look at literally hundreds of markets where home sale prices were decreasing or stagnating. Yeah, I could go on all day. Like, Phoenix is one of the fastest growing cities in the United States. So of course we're seeing a pretty healthy real estate market for investors, even before 2020, the pandemic. But like, there's plenty of places where home sale prices were decreasing, and I think even since the pandemic, we have seen home sale prices even in Phoenix decrease by like 8% in the last 2 years.
Can you give me Can you give me one of those cities you had mentioned earlier again?
Cleveland, Ohio. Look up Cleveland median home sale price, like 2000 to 2020 or something, or to modern day.
So I do show that the prices fell during the crash, sure, but then I show that they rose again after the market leveled out.
Are you looking at the housing index on the Federal Reserve? Or are you looking at housing prices? Because an index is different than prices.
Sure, but I would want to look at prices.
I'm Googling it too. This is something I was kind of like strangely and autistically following. So if you look at, I can only get data from 2019 to today. That's a shame. on the actual housing price in Cleveland.
Well, I mean, I'm showing house price index, all transactions from 1975 to today.
Is that from the Federal Reserve?
Yeah.
And what's it called?
This is from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. This is all transactions, house price index for Cleveland, Ohio, and it's from 75 to 2024. And again, I show a fall after 2005, but then in 2013, I show just a steady climb. It just steady climbed from there.
So what was the price in 2000? I'll say 2010.
130.
Okay, and what was the price in 2019?
In 2019, it was 160, 158.51.
Okay, so in 9 years, that's 21% inflation. That's pretty much on par with the national average, right? I mean, that's
sure. That's still not on par.
That's not like
wages.
a massively inflated housing market filled up of speculation.
Wait. I'm not saying it was, but I'm saying that's still not in line with wage increases.
I don't. Let's see.
I also think you said 2013 to 2029, or what years did you say? You said 2005?
2010 to 2019.
2010 to 2019. Yeah, but I think the problem is you can't look at 2010 because then you're sort of taking the crash. So of course the prices were going to
tail end of the crash. That's when.
Yes,
that's when I would expect
we
the recovery to start.
No, we didn't see a recovery yet. We didn't start to see a recovery until 2014. 2013,
Until
I guess.
2014. When did it reach its
per the
bottom?
trends? It reached its bottom in 2012.
Okay.
And then that's when we started to see the recovery.
All right. We'll do this again, but we'll use 2012 numbers for home sale price, and then we'll calculate inflation based off of that. And then we'll look at 2012 median household income. I have that pulled up. And then we'll look at 2019 home sale prices. Does that sound fair?
2019 medium income and then 2019 home sale prices? Is that what you're saying?
So what was the 2012 home sale price in Cleveland?
Oh, I mean, in Q1 of 2012, or I'm sorry. No, Q2, or Q1 of 2013 is when it hit its bottom peak, and that was 122.71. Q1 of 2013 is the bottom peak.
So that's about 23% inflation in 7 years. And then, let's see, in 2012, we see bottoming out of income from 2008. Does that sound fair to use that as a metric?
Bottoming out of income from 2012 from 2008?
Yeah, from the great financial crisis.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I'll use that. So that's $67,400 for the median household income in the United States. And then in 2019, it reached $83,260.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about 20% increase in median household income. So that's, and then if we look at the actual cost of capital, so if we look at mortgage rates, I'm going to guess that they probably either stay the same or slightly decreased.
Sorry, hold on. I'm looking
so the
for
prime rate. In,
I'm looking for where you're getting the data from. Give me a second.
So you got the Federal Reserve median household income.
20. I'm just going to count 2013 really quickly. We're at 46,398 to when were we saying was when it reached its peak again?
Let's use 2019 for create. What are you? I'm looking at the Federal Reserve data for real median household income, and that's $67,400 in 2012.
Yeah, I'm looking at I'm just on Statista, and I'm not seeing Statista's not telling me where they're pulling their numbers from.
Oh, don't use Statista. Use the Federal Reserve Economic Data Index.
You're looking at median household income in Ohio. Let's see. Specifically for Cleveland. Here it is. Where's the actual? Oh, here it is. Estimate of median household income for which county is Cleveland in? They split by county.
I was using the. Let's see. Cuyahoga County, I think.
Cuyahoga. Okay, here we go. So 2013 was 43. 653. 2019 would have been 52. 503.
Okay, so that's. So that's $9,000. That's once again right around 20%. And then if we look at the prime rate over that time, which I have to go back to. I guess it wasn't. For some reason, 2013 is not in the data. That's weird. It goes straight from 2008 to 2015. But yeah, the cost of capital remained pretty cheap. The prime rate was about 5% in 2019. But yeah,
I'm showing that the increase in home prices was 28%, while the increase in pay was 20%. So, like, you can say that that's a marginal difference, but from 122.71 to 158.21. That's a 28.93% increase. That's what the calculator's telling me.
Okay.
122.71, and then we're going 2019. That'd be 155.18, and that's gonna give us a percent increase of. I'm sorry, 158.21. That's gonna give us a percent increase of 28.93. So that's an almost 10% difference between the price of homes increase versus the price of take-home pay increase. Like, you can say that, hey, that's marginal, and like, hey, I think that that's a marginal increase, but 10% is a pretty big gap, in my opinion, at least if we're going to talk about, again, whether the cost of living is increasing coincidingly with the cost of take-home pay.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I guess I would have to come back with some other markets that decreased.
Yeah, I mean, if you, I'm fine if you want to come back and
I'm sure that they exist.
Sure. I mean, if you find something you want to come back and we want to talk about, I'm totally fine with that. I will say somebody does want me to move on, so I do have to move to the next caller.
Okay, I might come back with more general data.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Until next time.
All right. Well, Ryan, you have a good one then.
You too.
People did not like the economic conversation. God damn, we lost like 100 people watching on Twitch during that. My bad, chat. Turns out I was correct. But I think the problem is, in my opinion, well, let me do that math really quickly again. If we're saying 158, and then what was it was like 52, 50 something. Oh, also, they dropped a photo of the suspected shooter, and looks to be a cisgender man from the photo. Obviously, we can't know for sure, but Looks like a cisgender white dude.
Fantastic people they are. We miss him greatly, yet I have no doubt that Charlie's voice and the courage he put into the hearts of countless people, especially young people, will live on. I'm pleased to announce that I will soon be awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Whilst you're watching that picture, I want to bring in Javed Ali, who's national security analyst and former U.S. National Council.
People in chat are getting upset that they're being told that landlords are leeches. Well, they probably are a leech themselves, and leeches don't like being told that they're leeches. But wait, I wanted to 158 was the average price. And like 50 something. Yeah. But I mean, let's just look at it now. Let's take really quickly before we open the lines again. Let's take a random city. Somebody give me a random. Let's say Dayton, Ohio. The average individual income in Dayton, Ohio is, I'm going to do some quick maths here. Just some quick maths. Okay. Is 25,994. That's the average income. The average rent for a single bedroom apartment is 1,272. Now, 1,272 times that by 12 is 15,264. So the average individual take-home pay in Dayton, Ohio is, we'll round up for good measure, 26,000. So let's say you're making 26,000. You have to pay 15,000 of that for a single bedroom apartment. So I know math. Do you know math? 26,000 minus 15. You're looking at $11,000 left. That's damn near half. That's damn near half of your take-home pay goes to rent. And yeah, that doesn't include utilities. Doesn't include groceries. That doesn't include your car. That doesn't include gas. So again, this is unethical. Fully unethical, in my opinion. Trash can be. I've only ever rented in one place that made me pay the trash. It's here. Everywhere else that I've rented, my trash has been included. So, okay. I have been live for 3 hours. I'm cooked today. I still have like so much to do, so much to see. It's been a long stream because we talked about some heavy shit. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I'll be back maybe tomorrow. I don't think I'll be on tomorrow, but I'll definitely be back this weekend. Thank you for watching stream. Thank you for being here. I will see you guys later. It's been fun. It's been fun. Bye-bye.